All right. Good evening, everyone. It is 5:30. We want to start on time in respect of everybody else's time. And so we will go ahead and call this meeting to order. We'll start with 1.0 and then 1.1, actually, student board members swearing in. So at this time, Superintendent Ariano will swear in student board member Tatiana Eden Ochoa. Ms. Ochoa is a junior at Cajon High School. So let's welcome her and Mr. Ariano as he swears in our newest board member.
We'll be swearing you in and just repeat after me.
Okay, thank you.
I, and state your name,
I, Tatiana Eden Ochoa,
do solemnly swear
I
I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon duties
in which I am about to enter.
Congratulations. And
Thank
welcome.
you.
Wait.
All right.
We'd like to invite the members of the Board of Education. Come on down. You want her colleagues to come down here? Come on down. She's like, yeah. Oh. We'd like to invite the parents and families. Come on down.
All righty. Well, welcome again and congratulations. We'll move on to 1.3 to Pledge of Allegiance, and we will have one of our other student board members. I'm going to pick Anna Victoria to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. So can we all stand? Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty, thank you, Ms. Ana Victoria. Okay, we'll move on to 1.4, approval of the agenda.
Moved.
Yeah.
It was moved by Vice President Tillman, second by Ms. Ceballos. Any comments or items to pull? Ms. Alexander, no? Okay. There, we got you then. All right. All right, hearing and seeing none, let's go ahead and vote on the agenda.
Would you please ask the student board members first?
Okay, and I will, and I do apologize. I just want to let everybody know also, we do have somebody joining us virtually, which is board member Ms. Chahusky. So welcome, Ms. Chahusky. Want to make sure that we acknowledge you and that everybody knows you're there on screen. We see you, so good to see you. And then we will go ahead into our board members that are new. Hopefully you do understand the voting process. So on the agenda, you will vote either yay or nay. Yay obviously meaning yes, and nay meaning no. So we will start with Daisy.
Yay.
All right, Tatiana.
Yay.
Very good. Ana Victoria.
Yay.
There we go. All right, well done. Okay, so the rest of us, we will go ahead and vote electronically. Ms. Chahusky?
Aye.
Thank you very much. All right, motion carries. So we'll move on a little bit to 2.0, which will be special presentations. But before we get to special presentations, I did just want to make some comments as the board president. First of all, I want to give a huge shout out of gratitude and appreciation to our staff, specifically our MO staff and our school police staff, and everybody involved that was working diligently and very hard all weekend. Let me say they were working all weekend, 24 hours a day, throughout the whole weekend to assure that our schools were safe to come to school. A lot of folks don't know that they were working throughout the night. We had 10 teams out there visiting our schools, patrolling our streets, and making sure that the roads and sidewalks were clear so our kids could come to school. In addition to that, we were also monitoring. We have this unbelievable Office of Emergency Services, or what's that command center called, Mr. Ariana? EOC, Emergency Operations Center, where we're very fortunate as a large district to have a tremendous amount of resources versus smaller districts. Our EOC actually has up-to-date radar technology that you can watch the storm as it moves. We were watching it literally move minute by minute, and we were certain that the storm would dissipate as it did. So I wanted to make sure that everybody knew that we put in as much information, both qualitatively and quantitatively, to make the decision about keeping our schools open. More importantly, I want to also say that we are very concerned about our homeless student population. Some of you may or may not know, we have a very large homeless student population, between 4,500 and 5,000 kids who are unsheltered. Okay, if you don't know what unsheltered means, they don't have a home, they don't have a roof over their heads. They have to find home every night. And they depend on us to come to school for safety, they depend on us to come to school for food, and they come to school to depend on us for also love and also taking care of them. Many of them go to before school programs, during our school programs, and after our school programs. So that weighed heavily on our hearts as we made that decision. We also wanted to make sure that parents had a choice and our staff had a choice. Right? We know that some folks were in areas that were difficult to maybe get out of or access roads, such as the mountains and areas that might have been flooded. So again, our parents had a choice to stay home with their children or keep their children home, and our staff as well. So we want to make sure that we respect that, we appreciate that, we agree with that completely. But a huge shout out also to our staff that were able to make it here on Monday to man the schools and every other position we have throughout the district. It's like running a small city. I gave shout outs to our M&O and our school police, but also to our human resources department, Dr. Funches and his team. We knew Sunday night, that we had 500 call-offs already, but we had 98% coverage. 98% coverage. We already knew that going into the next day. That's pretty darn good, right? If you think about classrooms being covered, that's classrooms specifically, we had them 98% covered out of 500. Okay, so that's only when you do the math, what is that, like 10 classes maybe not covered that we could combo up and have other teachers or certificated staff, administrators, program specialists cover them. So we're able to cover them with our own staff, but that was just with subs alone. So, and then there's a discussion out there about, well, the district just wanted to get paid, right? It's all about the money. Well, if you know anything about disasters, and I'm not trying to be insult anyone's intelligence, but when the state declares an emergency, districts, are allowed to apply for funding, emergency funding. It's called a J-13, if I'm correct. Is that correct? Is it? Okay. So J13, and what is that? That's the ability for a district to apply for funding when there's a state emergency so they could get paid for not going to school, because we're paid by revenue on ADA. So they actually got paid completely to be home while we got paid to come to work. So, but I feel that was the right decision. I know Mr. Ariano provided us with a tremendous amount of information and data, real-time data, up to the minute, literally. When we made the decision, he contacted myself and Vice President Tillman, and we made the call to support his decision and authorize us to keep our schools open. So really wanted to put that out there and let everybody know that we wanted to make the best decision with the most informed decision in the best interest of our kids, but also our staff too. So, Mr. Ariano.
Thank you, President Wyatt. Just wanted to share with the community that that decision was not one that was easy to make, but we had two objectives. One is we realize that we have many hardworking parents in the city of San Bernardino, many of who have two jobs and depend on our schools to be open. And also, we wanted to make a determination that it was going to be safe for our students and our staff. So closing school is not something that we take lightly, but it's also wasn't based on emotion or the rolling of the dice or sensationalized news. We were going to base the decision on facts. So I want to share a little bit about what those facts were so that everybody feels comfortable that these decisions were made in the best interest of our kids, our parents, and our staff. So let me review a little bit about what happened. Starting on Friday evening, we activated our Emergency Operations Center. As Dr. Wyatt shared, across the street, we have this magnificent room where we have the ability to put eyes on all of our campuses at one time, at real time. We also have a weather tracker system called Earth Networks, where we have several stations throughout the city of San Bernardino where we can track the weather and weather storms in real time. So beginning on Friday night, Eric Vatier and Chief Paulino and Maria Garcia and Cabinet, we were not only monitoring those things, but we were having communication real time with San Bernardino City and San Bernardino County safety agencies. So we knew that the brunt of the storm was going to hit the city of San Bernardino from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. We also realized during that time frame that the levels of rain and the level of wind was not rising to the levels that people were expecting or fearing, which was a good thing. So we knew by 10 o'clock when the city of San Bernardino closed down their emergency operations center, we knew that we were in pretty good shape. We knew that there were no roads that were obstructed. There was no downed lines anywhere. Power grids were not turned off. So we felt comfortable and safe calling in our M&O folks who had volunteered to come in at 1 o'clock in the morning. Those teams went out at 1 o'clock in the morning and put eyes and feet on all of our campuses to analyze to make sure that there was not any debris or any structural damage, and to make sure that indeed we could open schools safely for our students and our staff. We also knew that Cajon Pass, Highway 18, Highway 330 was open and unobstructed. So we knew that the major veins into the city were going to be open and people able to come to work. Now, we also recognize that for some folks, it was going to be hard to come to work because of reasons outside of their control because of the storm. So as Dr. Wyatt indicated, Marcus Funches in his HR department, starting on Saturday and as early as 4:30 on Monday morning, we were tracking how many substitute positions we were needing and how many were filled. So we were fluctuating between 92% and 98%. Ordinarily, if we stay above the 90% mark, we know we're in good shape because it won't be too big of an impact to our teacher colleagues who might have to take on another class. We knew that we had enough certificated staff, either district office or additional staff, to take on people. But just to be extra sure, Cabinet then got deployed in waves. So Terry Komenick and I, 2:30 in the morning, we got up. We drove the freeways to make sure that the freeways, 210, the 10, the 215, that there wasn't any dangerous routes. We then drove around town, including Eric Vatier. Eric took the western part, Kimbark, North Verdemont, that side of town. Terry did the inner part of the city. I did the west side. We wanted to make sure that the main streets were not flooded, that there weren't any dangerous debris where our kids would be walking, and we did ascertain that by 5 in the morning, by 5:30, we were pretty sure, 100% sure, that everything was going to be safe for our kids. just as a last-ditch effort, when our third wave of folks came in, which was Assistant Superintendent Sandra Sandra Rodriguez and Anna Applegate, we then once again drove through the 4 quadrants of the city to make sure that our schools were safe from the outside, making sure that our streets were dry, and they were indeed ready. So even though we had sent out notice late Sunday night that we were ready to open and prepare to open, we still had the opportunity at the last second, even though if it was inconvenient, we still could have closed school at 5:30 in the morning. But we let facts drive our decision making. And so I'm happy to report that on Monday morning, our kids went to school safe. They were happy. I know at one point, Kevin and I went across the street to Jones to see the kids and just see how they were feeling. And everybody was doing a great job. And it was a great day in the San Maria City Unified School District. So I just want to thank personally Eric Vatier, Chief Polino, San Maria City Unified Police that were on duty that evening, that morning, our dispatchers, M&O, Maria Espinoza, transportation, just made everything work. Our teachers who were able to come, our support staff, our guest teachers, thank you for being there. And to our colleagues that couldn't on Monday, our thoughts were with you because we know you were dealing with some issues at home. So I hope those have been remedied. But I want to honor those M&O heroes that came in both Saturday and Sunday mornings, early in the mornings. I want to read their names, and I know it's going to take a little bit of time, but I think they deserve the recognition. So I publicly want to thank Chris Cortez, Cedric Brookins, Gustavo Cervantes Jacobo, Maria Undave, Freddy de la Cruz, Guadalupe Marin, Miguel Mandragon, Marcelino Guzman, Maria Jacobo, Lucy Dorado, Chris Cortez, Flavio Mejia, Lucille Dye, Eli Junes, Carlos Garcia, James Lewis, Elizabeth Guerrero, Stephen Esqueda, Erica Lemus, Donnie Rojas, Aaron Casas, Pete Smith, Santiago, they didn't put the last name, Santiago, I apologize, Jose Hipolito, Marnisha White, Jose Perez Rod, Carlos Sendejas, Jose Villacorta, Chris Saxton, Rodrigo Gutierrez, Donovan Aguayo, Marco Losa, Kevin Avalar, and if I missed anybody, I apologize. You guys were the true heroes on Sunday morning, and I, on behalf of the Board of Education, want to thank you. So the facts is what drove us, and it was in the best interest of our kids, our families who needed us to be open, and to our tremendous staff that show up on Monday. I'm grateful to all of you. Thank you.
And again, Superintendent Ariano, thank you to you and the team for doing such an amazing job of ensuring that our kids and staff are going to be safe. That was our number one priority, is making sure folks are going to be safe, but also ensuring that our kids had somewhere safe to go and a place that we know they would be nurtured at as well. So again, it wasn't an easy decision. It was a very difficult decision. Most of us were up throughout the entire night. I think some folks were, making comments that, oh yeah, the superintendent's probably in his office. He was not. He was out there in the middle of the night, starting at 1:30 in the morning. Like you said, patrolling the streets, just like we'd hope he would be doing, being a true leader and leading from the front, not from the back and not from an office. And to me, that's what leadership is all about, demonstrating it, being the example for others to follow, and also making tough decisions. That was not an easy decision. Mr. Ariano just got here, and he got hit with a very, very difficult decision. So I compliment you and the team again, and we are very thankful for it. Oh, it definitely is a team effort, and everybody that's in this room, as well as the parents for working with us. We thank you too, and we know that you had to go to work as well, and we wanted to make sure though that you had a choice, you had an option, and we were able to do that. So thank you again to our entire team. On to 2.1, and time for some fun stuff here, right? We're going to do a presentation on Footsteps to Freedom, a tour presentation. Yeah, let's give it up for that. And I see our wonderful and honorable Hardy Brown, too, back there in the back, Mr. Brown, and he's been inviting me for 8 years, and gosh darn it, you always have it at the beginning of school, so I can't go, but I'm going to actually just make that sacrifice, tell my folks I got to go, because I've been wanting to go, because some of my colleagues here that just got on the board, they already got to go, but they're going to be the ones that present and tell us about this wonderful experience, first of all, and this incredible opportunity for a life-changing experience, and that's what I've been told. It is a life-changing experience. I get teary-eyed just thinking about it. I can't even imagine. But I know we will feel it right now when we hear about it. And so let's welcome our folks, and let's see who I have here. Oh, Dr. Greer is up in front. So let's welcome Dr. Greer. All right. Welcome, Dr. Greer.
I'll find it eventually. We'll get to it eventually. Listen, really, really glad to be here. Grateful to be here. Nice to see you. Thank you so much for having us tonight. Board President Wyatt, Vice President Tillman, all of our cabinet members who made this possible. Miss Applegate, my boss, Dr. Funches, Dr. Rodriguez, Mr. Comnick, Chief Paulino. Thank you guys so much. Will Greer, Director of the Department of Equity and Targeted Student Achievement. Grateful to be here with all of my Footsteps to Freedom family. And with my brother, Hardy Brown, and the Brown family, who's been doing Footsteps to Freedom for 25 years. We don't want to take too much of your time. We are simply here in the spirit of gratitude, and we really just want to say thank you for making this possible. We know that last year was another year coming off of the pandemic, and so we were blessed with some additional funds, and we were able to use some of those funds for additional support, professional development support, professional development training, and experiences. And this is an experience, if you've gone, you know it is an experience like no other. And so in a moment, we're gonna show a video, but I just simply wanted to say thank you guys for making it possible. I think that the Footsteps to Freedom experience, you know, what it does is it really provides at least two things. And one is it touches the heart and it touches the soul. And I think it does that probably in a way that's much better than most conversations, most lectures could ever do. And so I know that the times that I've gone, I've been touched, right? And I think the same is true of our Footsteps to Freedom family who's been able to go. And I'm grateful because this past summer, we were able to take management folks, certificated folks, teachers, of course, but we were also able to take some classified staff members. And so we were able to make sure that they got that experience and were able to, you know, kind of get a sense of what that important history was, how it shaped certainly our past and how it continues to shape our future. And when I talk to our folks, our staff members in our district from across the district, I haven't come across anybody yet who wasn't profoundly, deeply changed, right, as a result of this experience. So without further ado, I am going to ask Mr. Garcia to go ahead and play our video made by Mr. Lawrence Hardy from the EDSA department.
Me, just to see how much our ancestors went through and sacrifice for me to be able to live free today, I have no choice but to continue to push the marker forward and make a difference in my community, for my people, and just be great.
Iowans were steadfast abolitionists who offered their own homes as safe houses for slaves. One abolitionist was Minister John Rankin of Ripley, Ohio, whose home stood on a hill that overlooked the Ohio River, which separates Ohio and Kentucky. Rankin would signal fugitive slaves in Kentucky with a lantern and let them know when it was safe for them to cross. Rankin helped about 2,000 slaves escape and is immortalized in Harriet Beecher Stowe's influential novel, Uncle Tom's Cabin.
It was powerful to see the places that I read about in Uncle Tom's Cabin.
I was reminded that slavery in a historical sense is believed to be abolished. It is still actually alive and has taken on different forms.
So what I learned is that this is a journey of faith and that I could do more than I could ever possibly think.
It was an emotional and visceral experience that is once in a lifetime.
So my overall experience for Footsteps of Freedom was a life-changing one, and I would definitely recommend it to any of the staff members at San Bernardino because it's very influential.
the high point was when we went to Canada, because then I felt free. I felt like these people would have like had like a big sigh of relief because now they're free and knowing that they were also welcome there.
So we have a few speakers who are going to share some testimonies of their experience. And so I think first up, we're going to have Dr. Norma Garcia Fuentes, Vice Principal at Arrowview. So please give her a round of applause.
Thank you for having us here. The Footsteps to Freedom Study Tour was one of the most powerful experiences in my life. This tour was meant to give us the experience of an enslaved person seeking freedom, as well as be able to learn about so many others who risked their lives to help them reach that freedom. The path and steps to reaching the ranking house was mind-blowing. Just learning that this was the same path the enslaved had to endure in order to get closer to freedom could leave just anyone speechless. Following in the same footsteps as Harriet Tubman and visiting the house she stayed at made just history come alive. As we visited the different locations where history happened, you have no choice but to be more sensible to African American history. I reflect daily on what we learned, what we experienced, and also what we felt throughout this journey to freedom. The most impactful experience was the slave ship in the Wright Museum of African American History, where the wax dolls were used to express the pain and the torment of the Africans taken from their homes and their loved ones, and they were forced to come to America. This journey changed not only how I think, but also how I lead my staff and how I teach my university students. Through this experience, it has caused me to reflect on my leadership style and how I allow me to be more conscientious to lead with empathy. Furthermore, it is imperative that we know and teach future generations not just the truth, but the whole truth. Thank you.
Our next speaker is going to be the illustrious Evelyn Vasquez, who is an American history teacher at Serrano Middle School for 8th graders.
Hi, it's nice to see you all. My name is Evelyn Vasquez, and I am an 8th grade history teacher at Serrano. I had the privilege of attending Footsteps to Freedom this past June. To say it was life-changing would be an understatement. As I embarked on this 8-day journey, I didn't really know what to expect, but as a history lover, I was really excited. The 8th grade U.S. history curriculum makes its way from the birth of the nation through the end of the Civil War. It follows inspirational themes such as freedom, perseverance, innovation, and pride. However, as historians and as citizens, it's necessary that we also address the ugly side of history, one that is ridden with pain, suffering, and horrors of what humans are capable of doing to each other. So with this, we know new themes must emerge, like the theme of being on the right side of history, which was one we all reflected on every single day. I've always been inspired by people like Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, just to name a few, and it was because these were people who stood firm in ensuring they were on the right side of history. It wasn't long before I realized this journey was so much more than an educational trip. It was a change in mindset, and as the days went on, I began to feel an immense amount of responsibility. Experiencing firsthand some of the most horrific human experiences, as well as beautiful triumphs, and having a space to unpack them with other educators was so valuable. We created connections and friendships that I know will last a lifetime. On a personal level, the whole experience was deeply emotional. I felt that this trip was the eye-opener I had been needing. I was consumed by a wealth of knowledge and feel a new sense of purpose. When we got home, I got right to work. I began to write down all my thoughts and quickly realized There are not enough words to write down all of the thoughts that I had. I talked to people about my experiences. I read some more. I even began a book club with some of the amazing people I connected with. It made me so happy that I was re-inspired and excited to combine my passion with all the material I was able to gather on this trip. As the school year approached, I began to revisit my lessons and have since adapted almost all of them, refocusing on the idea that we are all history makers. And learning from our collective past allows us to make sure we are on the right side of history. We are the reason there will be a better tomorrow. I've been able to use stories, pictures, and connections that I made on this trip to ensure that I'm teaching our young scholars with historical accuracy, integrity, and purpose. Making that my purpose has given me the confidence to pursue changes in my own personal life, and I am forever changed. Thank you.
Next is the very enigmatic Stacy Howard, who is an English teacher at Cajon High School.
Good evening. I want to address the many benefits of providing teachers with the opportunity to embark on this life-changing professional development trip known as Footsteps to Freedom. It is imperative that we continue nurturing a passion for learning with teachers as we do with our students. What better way to inspire educators than by immersing us in the very narratives we impart to our students? Footsteps to Freedom not only enriches our teaching practices, but also invigorates the learning experiences for our students. Students witness firsthand the value of continuous learning and adaptability, key skills in our ever-evolving world. History is more than facts in a textbook. It's a living, breathing story that unfolds across time. By exposing educators to places, artifacts, and events that shape our cultural world, we are empowered to bring history to life in the classroom. When we are able to stand where pivotal decisions were made, touch the remnants of bygone eras, and hear the echoes of historical voices, our understanding deepens, and we gain the ability to ignite deeper curiosity in our students by sharing knowledge and experience. Beyond the classroom, this experience has been transformative. Footsteps to Freedom fostered a sense of community among our educators as we explored sites together, engaged in discussions, and shared insights. Bonds were formed that extended beyond the trip itself. The collaborative spirit cultivated during this journey will translate to a more cohesive and vibrant teaching community, ultimately benefiting our students as they encounter curriculum cultivated by united and inspired teachers. Investing in Footsteps to Freedom for our teachers is an investment in the future of education. By encouraging a passion for history, fostering collaboration, inspiring innovative teaching methods, and cultivating a hunger for lifelong learning, we are more equipped to provide an enriching and impactful learning experience for our students. I appreciate the board providing us this opportunity to the lasting benefits of Footsteps to Freedom's mission and support teachers in our journey to become even more exceptional educators. Thank you.
Our next speaker is the Admirable Administrator from Indian Springs, Mr. David Saban.
Good evening, everyone, board members, student board members, cabinet members, and Dr. or Mr. Arano. As a former social studies teacher, I love the Footsteps of Freedom tour. I would go again to soak up more information if I could. It's been 12 years since I taught history at the high school level in our district, so it resharpened a lot of the knowledge that I already had. I oftentimes was Googling, I knew that, what was it again? You know, oh, what's the part of this 1850 compromise? So yeah, the whole time on the bus, during the whole trip, it was fantastic. I soaked up everything like a sponge. Mr. Hardy Brown and Dr. Paulette Brown Hines were fantastic leaders on the tour. The speakers, Dr. Daniel Walker and Mr. Kenneth Morris, if you've never met them, if you've ever heard them speak, they are fantastic. They're riveting. They're passionate about the subject. The tour had many remarkable moments for all of us on it, and many of us here were on the same bus, ironically. One moment that I won't ever forget occurred on the second day of the trip. We were standing with while just getting off the bus with a group of educators that I was just beginning to know. In Washington Courthouse, Ohio, Hardy hit me in the chest and said, "Come with me." I would soon find out that Hardy had chosen me to be an enslaved person who was going to be sold at an auction at the precise site where auctions were occurring on a daily basis 160 years ago. I got to wear shackles that the same exact people, enslaved folks, wore back then 160 years ago. A group of us were sold like pieces of meat. It was a very powerful moment, an emotional moment. And you saw some of the pictures. It elicited tears and emotions from everyone, including myself. In regards to leading the school staff, I like to think I had a patient and I was a very patient man and had a lot of perspective when it comes to being an administrator. Before the trip, due to my life experiences and of course educational experiences working in San Bernardino, the trip showed another lens in which all of our staff could use when working with our kids and our parents. My promise to Hardy was that I would discuss the trip with my staff, and I have, the first meeting back of the school year. We had 2 teachers from Indian Springs who went on the tour in addition to myself this summer, as well as a few that have gone in the past. I will continue to cheerlead to my staff for them to go on this trip, as it is, as mentioned earlier, a life changer. One of the major connections that was made during the trip that really resonated with me and with, I think, our area and our kids was the connection between the trials and tribulations of the enslaved people that, and what they went through, and one of today's major issues facing our kids in the Inland Empire, which is sex trafficking. Footsteps of Freedom is studying and acknowledging the past, while also working in the present to help educate and eradicate sex trafficking, which I think is admirable. In closing, this was an educational trip of a lifetime. I'd do it again in a heartbeat. There were countless times for reflection to improve self-practice, while still understanding the importance of humbleness, humility, empathy, equality, and respect. Thank you for your time.
Next is my fearless leader, the one who steers the helm through very rocky and choppy waters, who has definitely been a beacon to our endeavors, and she is Dr. Sudha Venkatesan, the Director of Secondary Education.
Whoa, Irene, I wouldn't have thought of myself that way. Thank you. Good evening, Board President, Dr. Wyatt, and our Superintendent, Mr. Ariano, and board members and cabinet members. Here you heard the testament today of the advocacy and the support you have provided to our educators for these immersive experiences that they had. And this allows the learning to happen and also to appreciate diverse thinking. I also want to thank Mrs. Anna Applegate for providing us that free hand and opportunity for writing that ethnic studies curriculum, and also the support that she provided in making sure that the classifieds were also included as part of the tour this time. So one of the things that we always think about is when these administrators go on these immersive experiences and learning, how do we make it as a permanent fabric of our district? It's one thing to just go, it's like field trips for the students, right? Like when we go in, we learn something, but it is also, unless it is actually implemented, then it doesn't really have a meaning for it. So we were always, and I know I took this trip 6 years ago, and Mr. Hardy Brown and I, we have had several conversations about this. See, how do we make this as a permanent learning experiences for all our students? Because not all 100% of the students or all the teachers are, having this opportunity to go and go for these tours. And then finally, we found ethnic studies as the perfect way or the perfect opportunities through which we can incorporate some of these learning experiences. That is one of the things we made sure that all the teachers that write this ethnic studies curriculum are being provided with this opportunity so that they can have these experiences. So what they are writing as a curriculum would get very powerful. So I want to now introduce my 3 rock stars that are here. Irene, who you already, now she's famous with all her introductions, and then Cece and, Jacque, who can come and share the experiences about how we are integrating this experience into our ethnic studies program. Thank you.
So I'll begin with the outcomes of the trip. So experiencing history, such as walking in the footsteps of the Underground Railroad through the Footsteps to Freedom, holds real significance to us well, as history teachers or historians, but certainly all who participated for the following reasons. It really promotes that connection to the past that is far more relatable than a history book. It's very personal. It allows for learning that goes beyond the textbook because that is stale history. It is going to those physical historical sites that adds a dimension to the learning that can't be captured in any other way. Words alone cannot convey it, but certainly the experience can be conveyed to the students powerfully. It creates dialogue and conversation by fostering open discourse about the importance of historical and contemporary issues because they are connected. It cultivates empathy and understanding of the struggles and the hardships that historically underrepresented groups have endured, and it also leads to a heightened sensitivity to the issues of social justice and human rights. It promotes social change by engaging with history, particularly stories of resistance, stories of resilience and activism like those of the Underground Railroad. And certainly it fosters those interpersonal connections my colleagues spoke about through crucial conversations and emotional stories that eliminate the bias and humanize one to another. I will defer to my really fantastic colleague, Cece.
Hello, board members. So looking at the application of learning. So at secondary education, we acknowledge the responsibility you entrusted to us in developing a comprehensive ethnic studies curriculum. We take pride in introducing an elective course that aligns with foundational principles of the California Model Curriculum. In addition, we are in the process of formulating a United States history course centered on themes of race and gender alongside a multicultural literature class. Notably, both of the courses have been sanctioned by the state to fulfill both A through G high school graduation credit requirements and to meet the ethnic studies graduation mandate for the graduating cohort of 2029 to 2030. Our team of educators charged with crafting this curriculum have actively engaged in an immersive educational experience known as Footsteps to Freedom. This experiential endeavor has significantly contributed to our grasp of historical content and contextual accuracy. The professional development acquired through this experience has further deepened our comprehension of the profound historical implications that continue to shape our contemporary times. This has also nurtured qualities such as empathy and culture, just like Irene just spoke about, cultural responsiveness among our educators, and additionally, our teachers are using this opportunity to share with our students the importance of silenced historical voices and the significance they still have today.
And so as we wrap up our presentation, in essence, experiencing history through activities like walking the steps of the Underground Railroad allows us to transcend time and immerse ourselves in the past. It empowers us with knowledge, empathy, and a sense of responsibility to honor the struggles and accomplishments of those who paved the way for a better future. Thank you, board, superintendent, and cabinet for this opportunity. At this time, we'd like to invite board member Felicia Alexander to speak. Thank you.
First of all, amazing job to everyone, all the educators, and the presentation, your testimonies. Truly appreciate what you did, what you brought into the room. To the board, hopefully you got a glimpse of what we experienced for 8 days. I would like to make sure that we acknowledge our docent back there, our conductor, Hardy Brown. The presentations and just the testimonies speak for themselves. I mean, the real life experiences that were shared, the people that we met, just the journey alone, being able to develop the partnerships that we developed along the way. It was very emotional for all of us. However, the education that was imparted and what we learned and what we walked away with, you heard from a history teacher, you heard from an English teacher, you heard from our ethnic studies department, just our commitment. And first and foremost, thank you for the opportunity. We appreciate being able to get out there and be able to get on-hands experience, but now bring it back into the classroom And it speaks a lot in terms of who we are in San Bernardino, change the narrative, right? Because a lot of times we hear negative things about us, but we are probably one of the few school districts that are still realizing this is the right side of history and we're not sabotaging history. So thank you for that, and we appreciate that. And I appreciate the educators that all came out. We have quite a few that are here, and the commitment that you just shown just coming here tonight is definitely appreciative. We developed a community, and I think that was mentioned. A lot of us didn't know each other, but just going through that experience alone really helped us just to be able to foster those partnerships, foster commitments, holding each other accountable, checking in. And then the time that each one of the presenters put into putting together the video. I see Mr. Lawrence Hardy back there, so thank you for that. And the presentations, I know it took time in addition to your day-to-day activities, so thank you for all that you put into this within a week. So I appreciate that. And so lastly, I would just like to I'd like to share this quote. Knowledge defeats ignorance. If we don't acknowledge education, educate ourselves, we have to make sure that we continue to educate our youth as well. This is the right side of history. It's not in addition to history. This is U.S. history. And that was shared throughout all the presentations. So thank you. And so at this point, I want everybody to come up, and we're going to take a picture too. All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I can get you to make at least 3 rows, please, with the tallest people in the back row and the least tall people in the front row. For those of you who didn't hear me, if we can get the tallest people to be in the back row and the least tall people to be in the front row, and if you can't, probably in the wrong row, and I'll let you make your judgment. I love it. I love it. I remember you when you were a first year teacher.
Yeah, no, it's good seeing you. And folks, I do apologize. I think Ms. Rosales Medina, Board Member Rosales Medina, might have a comment or a question. Ms. Medina?
No, definitely. I just wanted to say, as you're walking back, that I was also on this experience, and it definitely changes your mindset on how things, when it comes to positions in power, when it comes to how we need to make sure that we're doing what's right no matter what. And I heard a few of you mentioned, I think it was Washington, Kentucky, and I don't know if you passed by where there was that church. And I took a picture of that church, and that still stays with me because it just shows you that, you know, where those that were enslaved and how they were placed above the church. All those little experiences, you know, you look and reflect those that were using the word for not necessarily the best way, and others like the Quakers that were doing the right things to help improve. So, I mean, for me personally, it has been experience, and I hope other board members, I know it's 8 days now, but if you can try to make an effort to do it, even if it's a few days, maybe there's an exception how it can be done. Whatever I can do to support more teachers, more classified, more certificated staff, anyone that would like to go that works within our school district to help improve. And I'm so proud that we're moving in the direction that we're moving with ethnic studies. It is so needed. I know other states are removing they remove their AP African American studies. If we can bring that here, just show how much we can, you know, grow our communities. So thank you so much to everyone that came to speak.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Rosales Medina. And I would echo your sentiments and just say I hope one day I do get to go. And I would love to have that experience, that chance of a lifetime, actually. And I do believe that's what it is. So again, thank you to our team. Thank you, everyone, for a great presentation. And we look forward to sending more folks next year. All right. Take care. Okay. We'll continue to move on to 2.2, resolution and recognition of 16 de septiembre, and that will be Ms. Rosales Medina, Board Member Medina. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Whereas 16 de septiembre, more commonly known as Mexico's Independence Day, commemorates the insurrection that led to Mexico's separation from Spain, and whereas it is an important date in the history of Mexico that marks the anniversary of the issuance of the Grito de Dolores, in which Father Miguel Hidalgo defied Spain and called for freedom and justice for the common man and woman. And whereas this date is a historical significance for the Mexican people and others of Latin American ancestry, and is celebrated by many members of this community, including students of San Bernardino City Unified School District, therefore be resolved that the Board of Education of the San Bernardino City Unified School District recognizes September 16, 2023, 16 de septiembre, and directs appropriate activities for its observance in district schools. So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Rosales Medina, second by Ms. Ceballos. Any discussion or comments? All right, hearing and seeing none, I will start with our student board members. Ms. Chavez.
Yay.
All right, thank you very much. Ms. Ochoa.
Yay.
Thank you very much. Ms. Rojo.
Yay.
All right. Ms. Chahusky.
Aye.
Thank you very much. The rest of us will vote electronically. Thank you. All right, resolution carries. We'll move on to 2.3, resolution in recognition of September as Attendance Awareness Month, and that will be Ms. Ceballos.
Whereas good attendance is essential for student achievement, and developing the habit of regular attendance prepares students to succeed from cradle to career. And whereas chronic absenteeism most severely impacts low-income students and children with special needs, especially if they lack resources to make up for lost classroom time at home. And whereas chronic absences can be significantly reduced when schools, parents, faith-based organizations, businesses, community leaders, and elected officials work together to promote good attendance and address hurdles that keep children from getting to school. And whereas the 2023 Attendance Awareness Campaign theme is showing up together, which speaks to the importance of joining together to implement long-term plans to address the devastating academic impacts of high levels of absenteeism. And whereas the San Bernardino City Unified School District dedicates resources and attention to reducing chronic absenteeism and is partnering with families, parents, and school leaders to make attendance a top priority by raising awareness and establishing targets and goals to ensure accountability. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the San Bernardino City Unified School District recognizes September 2023 as Attendance Awareness Month. And be it further resolved, the Board of Education recognizes greater attention is needed to improve student attendance and hereby commits to reducing chronic absenteeism to give children an equitable opportunity to learn, grow, and thrive academically, emotionally, and socially. So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by Ceballos, second by Ms. Rosales Medina. Any discussion or comments? Hearing and seeing none, we'll go ahead and start with Ms. Chavez.
Yay.
Thank you. Ms. Ochoa?
Yay.
Thank you. Ms. Rojo?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Ms. Chahusky?
Aye.
All right, rest of us will vote electronically. Thank you. Okay, motion carries. Move on to 2.4, resolution and recognition of September as Public Schools Month, and it'll be read by Vice President Tillman.
Thank you, President White. Whereas Public Schools Month has been sponsored and promoted by the Free and Accepted Masons of California for more than a century in recognition of the value of public education, and whereas concern for the common good and well-being of all citizens is one of the highest virtues of American democracy. And generations ago, our ancestors recognized the importance of this virtue by creating the public school system. And whereas public schools are responsible not only for sound instructional programs that prepare and equip our youth to have productive lives as adults, but also instilling in our children a love of freedom and appreciation of the benefits of living in a democratic society. And whereas the organizations such as the Masons and with community support throughout California, public schools can ensure that students have equal access to learning and a safe and healthy environment in which to grow. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the San Bernardino City Unified School District joins the Free and Accepted Masons of California and school districts across the state in declaring the month of September 2023 to be Public Schools Month and acknowledging the important role of public education in developing students educationally and socially. So moved.
Second.
This is moved by Vice President Tillman, second by Ms. Alexander. Any comments or discussion? Okay, hearing and seeing none, let's go ahead and vote. Ms. Chavez?
Yay.
Thank you very much. Ms. Ochoa?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Ms. Rojo?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Ms. Chahusky?
Aye.
All right, the rest of us will vote electronically. Thank you. All right, motion carries. We're going to go ahead and go to 2.5, resolution and recognition of National Hispanic Heritage Month. And actually, Ms. Chahusky said she feels good enough to read. So, Ms. Chahusky, thank you so much from far away.
Thank you. I just need to switch over so I can read it.
All right, I appreciate that. You're a trooper.
Whereas the period from September 15 through October 15, officially known as National Hispanic Heritage Month, is a time to honor the many historical and modern contributions of Hispanic and Latino Americans. And whereas those dates can coincide with important events in Latin American history, including the September 15th anniversary of independence for Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua, the September 16th anniversary of Mexico's independence, and the September 18th anniversary of Chile's independence, And whereas Hispanic and Latino Americans share ancestry and cultural ties with Mexico, Central and South America, the Caribbean, Cuba, and Spain, and this diversity has brought invaluable perspectives, experiences, and values to the district. And whereas the district celebrates the vibrant Latin American spirit that influences our nation and also recognizes the practices of commitment to family, love of country, and respect for others, which are virtues that transcend ethnicity, reflect the American spirit, and are exemplified in the Hispanic and Latino American communities. Therefore, be it resolved, the Board of Education of the San Bernardino City Unified School District joins towns and cities in our state and nation in recognizing September 15 through October 15, 2023 as Hispanic and Latino Heritage Month, and directs appropriate activities for celebrating Hispanic and Latino American heritage and culture take place in district schools.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it was moved by Ms. Ceballos and seconded by Ms. Rosales Medina. I'll go ahead and move over to our student board members. Ms. Chavez,
Aye.
Ms. Ochoa,
Aye.
Ms. Rojo,
Aye.
Ms. Chahusky.
Aye.
All righty, outstanding. And we'll go ahead and vote electronically for the rest of us. Okay, motion carries. We'll go ahead and move on to 3.0, public comments. 3.1, receive public comments. This is the only time the public will have an opportunity to address the board on items not on the agenda and within their subject matter jurisdiction, such as district policies, procedures, programs, services, or fiscal matters. Public comments are limited to 5 minutes per person. 6 or more people who wish to speak on one topic will be provided no more than 30 minutes total. Speakers are cautioned that under California law, no person is immune from liability for making intentionally false or defamatory comments regarding any person simply because these comments are made at a public meeting. And we will start with our first public comment. It looks like, I hope I get this right, Hector Gillian. Mr. Gillian, welcome if you're here. All right, we will hold on to that. Hopefully, let's see if that was him coming through the door. It is not. All right, so there's not a Mr. Gillian here, Hector Gillian. Okay. Any others? That was it?
Oh,
Do we have any virtual comments?
no, we do not.
Wow, what a fantastic evening for public comments. Great. So, all right, we will move on then to 4.0, and we have a public hearing. 4.1, public hearing and adoption of MOU, temporary revision of substitute teacher compensation rate for the 2023-2024 school year between the San Bernardino City Unified School District and the Communication Workers of America, Local 9588. So I will go ahead and close our open session. Now I will go and, I always get this one hopefully right, open our public hearing. Are there any public comments?
Yes, there is. Teresa Hunter.
All right, Ms. Hunter, welcome.
Good evening, Board, Superintendent, and staff. I'm Teresa Hunter with CWA Local 9588. I'm just here in support of the MOU and looking forward to continuing on for this 2023-2024 school year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hunter. Always a pleasure to see you. All right, I will go ahead and read the resolution and we'll have a comment or question. Excuse me. All right, be it resolved, the Board of Education adopts a memorandum of understanding, temporary revision of substitute teacher compensation rate for the 2023-2024 school year between the San Bernardino City Unified School District and the Communication Workers of America, Local 9588.
So moved. Second.
Ooh, that was close. It was moved by Ms. Rosales Medina and seconded just by a bit by Ms. Ceballos. I will look for any comments or discussion. Hearing and seeing none, we'll go ahead over to our student board members and start with Ms. Chavez.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Ms. Ochoa,
Aye.
Thank you. Ms. Rojo?
Aye.
Ms. Chahusky?
Aye.
Thank you, Ms. Chahusky. We'll go ahead and vote electronically for the rest of us. All right, motion carries, so I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. We'll go ahead and reopen our open session. We'll move on to 5.0 closed session. 5.1, oh, excuse me, I do apologize. Ms. Cunningham did ask me to see if Mr. Hector Gillian came in. We had somebody come in. Welcome, sir. Come on up to the podium.
Thank you for this opportunity. I'm not sure if this is an appropriate forum for what I have to say. I have a complaint, but I've exhausted my other options going through the appropriate channels. I have two concerns here, two dilemmas. I'll try to make them brief. The first is I have a 5-year-old son who started kinder this year. It's his first year in school. He's attending the dual immersion program at George Brown Junior Elementary School. His attendance requires that he be bused. But unfortunately, he has yet to be placed on the busing list. Meanwhile, we continue to receive letters from the school about his lack of attendance, emails as well. I've spoken to both the principal, secretary at the elementary school. My wife and I have spoken to several people in the transportation department, and each site is pointing the finger at the other. The name hasn't been sent, the name has been sent, it has been approved, and just back and forth. This is day, 23 of the school year, and he has yet to be placed on that list for busing. So that's concern number one. Do I move on to concern number two, or do I wait for comments? Okay, concern number two is, strangely enough, my daughter, who attends Arrowview, the school right next to George Brown, she was approved for busing at the start of the school year. So that's not my concern. However, being that both my children attend schools that are right next to each other, I contacted the transportation department asking if my older daughter could accompany her younger 5-year-old brother on when he eventually gets placed on the busing list, on the bus on the way home. Expecting a child, I thought 5 years old, his first year in school, because he didn't qualify for preschool the year before, was a lot to ask of a child to navigate a route which includes a transfer by himself. I contacted the transportation department. I was simply said that they don't mingle elementary and middle school students. I responded, trying to express our concern, our dilemma, and that my 12-year-old daughter sitting next to her 5-year-old brother, I don't consider commingling students. It's one family. Haven't heard back. To say that I've been frustrated with the transportation department this year is an understatement. As I said, we're a month into the school year, and I haven't gotten any customer service based on their mission statement, which I would like to read a portion of it to you now, if you don't mind. I sent a copy of that to the transportation department, hopefully trying to motivate them to reconsider their decision. It says here, the transportation department makes it a priority to respond to the needs of students, staff, and community while focusing on delivering outstanding customer service. They have fallen very short of that mission statement with respect to me and my family. I'm here because I've exhausted the options that I'm aware of to get my problems solved.
All righty, Mr. Gunn, I'll take a look and see if we have any comments or questions by Members of the board? Right here and seeing none, I'm sure Mr. Arno, we will have somebody get back to Mr. Gillian from the Transportation Department to address your concerns, and hopefully they are taken care of, and if not, we will probably hear from you again.
Appreciate
But
it.
I'm going to say they will be taken care of.
Thank you.
Thank you. All righty, so we'll go back to 5.1, closed session public comments. Ms. Cunningham?
There are none.
All right, 5.2, closed session agenda. We will now recess to closed session. Thank you. All right, folks, we'll go ahead and call this meeting back in session. Thank you for being patient. We'll start off with 6.1, claim number 597291. Let me get there. Be it resolved, the Board of Education approves settlement agreement claim number 597291 in the amount of $80,000.
Moved.
Second.
It was moved by Vice President Tillman, second by Ms. Ceballos. Any discussion or questions?
It was seconded by Ms. Alexander.
It was seconded by Ms. Alexander. Correction. Sorry, Ms. Alexander. All right. Any? Oh, well, looks like we're going to vote anyway. All right, let's go and vote. But there was a comment. Okay, let's. I'm sorry, I didn't see that. Ms. Chahusky, your vote.
Aye.
All right, thank you very much. All right, motion carries. Moving on, 6.2, HR class -23-24-03-ER. Be it resolved, the Board of Education approves settlement agreement HR class -23-24-03-ER in the amount of $5,000.
Moved.
Second.
It was moved by Vice President Tillman, but seconded by Ms. Rosales Medina. Any questions or comments? Very good. Hearing and seeing none. Ms. Chahusky?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Rest of us will vote electronically, please. Motion carries. Moving on to 6.3, elementary school principal, appointment of Domingo Elementary School. Be it resolved, the Board of Education approved the appointment of the following employee: Manuel Reyes, elementary school principal, H. Frank Dominguez Elementary, effective date, work year, and salary to be determined.
Moved.
Second.
It was moved by Vice President Tillman, second by Ms. Ceballos. Any discussion? All right, hearing and seeing none, let's go ahead and vote. Ms. Chahusky?
Aye.
Thank you very much. All right, motion carries, and I believe Dr. Funches, you'll be introducing our newest principal.
Yes, Dr. Wyatt, President Wyatt, I do have the honor of introducing our next principal of Dominguez Elementary School. This is a grow our own candidate, grown very well in San Bernardino City Unified School District. A student of the district, he attended Riley Elementary, Warm Springs, Golden Valley Middle School, Pacific High School, San Bernardino High School, San Andreas High School, and San G. He has a heart for our scholars and shares some of the same life experiences, goals, and values that they do. He's a servant leader, relationship builder, and restorative practitioner. Mr. Manuel Reyes.
All right. Woo! All right. Yeah. I want to start off with saying thank you, Mr. President, Dr. Wyatt, Vice President, Mr. Tillman, Board, Cabinet, Superintendent Arellano. Thank you so much for the opportunity to allow me to serve and be able to lead a school here in San Bernardino, in the city that I was born and raised. San Bernardino has given me some great experiences, some great knowledge, wisdom to be able to lead. I have that drive to be able to inspire and motivate scholars, staff, community. So I'm very excited to get to work and see the wonderful things that are coming our way. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that.
All right, thank you, Mr. Reyes, and congratulations again to you and your family. All right. Mr. Reyes, we would like to know if your family's here, if you want to introduce them.
I have my wife, my kids, my mom, and my sister with me.
All right. May have them stand as well so we can see your proud family there. All right. Great to see you all. Congratulations to your husband, son, and dad. So
Thank you, thank you.
Was Dr. Hill your principal? Was Dr. Hill your principal? At San Andreas.
At San Andreas.
What year were you at San Andreas?
I was in 2001 in San Andreas.
She may have been. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't remember. Sorry.
She'd be proud of you.
that's how I got in trouble then, because you would have remembered her there. Yeah. So good job while you were there. Trust me, she scolded me before. I enjoyed it. All right, 6.5, middle school vice principal appointment, Richardson Prep High Middle School. Be it resolved that the Board of Education approved appointment of the following employee, Adrian. Oh, did I skip one? Oh my gosh, well, we'll get to that one next. 6.4, elementary school principal appointment. Oh God, I'm gonna get in trouble for this one even more. North Verdemont Elementary School. Be it resolved that the Board of Education approved appointment of the following employee, Harold Olivo, elementary school principal, North Verdemont Elementary, effective date, work year, and salary to be determined, funding source 035.
So moved. Second.
Oh boy, that was. All right, it was motioned by Ms. Rosales Medina and seconded by Ms. Ceballos. Was it correct? All right, Ms. Ceballos. All right. Ms. Chahusky?
Aye.
Thank you, Ms. Chahusky. Rest of us will vote electronically. All right, motion carries. Congratulations, Dr. Funches. Let's go ahead and introduce our other newest principal of today.
Board, we're also excited about the leadership of Mr. Harold Olivo. Also, has been in San Bernardino City Unified School District, has been in education for 17 years. He served at King Middle School, is a current vice principal at King Middle School, and also did work at Ramona Alessandro Elementary. He too shares the same desires, passion, values, and expectations of our community, and does it with a passion. He's a problem solver, a strategic thinker, and a collaborative leader. I introduce you, Mr. Harold Olivo.
All right.
Thank you, Dr. Funches. Good evening, Board President, Dr. Wyatt, board members, Superintendent Arellano, and Cabinet. I want to take this opportunity to thank you for entrusting me to serve in this beautiful community as elementary principal. I am honored to have the privilege of now being a member of the North Verdemont family. I look forward to continue the trajectory of success that North Verdemont Elementary has established as I work and advocate for the continued success of our students. To my North Verdemont family, I am proud to be your new principal, and I look forward to achieving new heights of success together. I would also like to thank my King and Alessandro family for preparing me for this next leadership role within our district. I appreciate and love you all. At this time, I would like to leave you with a quote from Helen Keller. Optimism is the faith that leads to achievement. Nothing can be done without hope and confidence. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Olivo, and I believe we'll be introducing your family, but I think Ms. Rosales Medina wanted to make a comment real quick about our selection of you, right?
I know, and the thing is that Miss Olivo was my son's teacher at Bonniel Elementary School. I can't remember if it was on second or third grade, but Alec, I mean, you have an amazing family, but I'm just saying that.
Thank you.
When I saw Miss Olivo, I was like, for sure, and I seen her here. A dynamic couple, a dynamic family. So congratulations.
Thank you so much, Medina. Thank you. And yes, my family's here. My wife, Diana, my son, Ethan, and my baby daughter here, Sophia.
All right, let's have them all stand up. Congratulations to your husband and your dad. And as long as Miss Olivo keeps calling the shots, we'll be okay. All right.
Thank you, Dr. Wyatt.
Thank you, sir. Congratulations. All right, moving on this time to 6.5, middle school vice principal appointment of Richardson Prep High Middle School. And I got to catch up my notes to this. All right, be resolved that the Board of Education approved appointment of the following employee, Adrian Perryman, middle school vice principal, Richardson Prep High, effective date, work year, and salary to be determined, funding source 035.
Second.
It was moved by Vice President Tillman and second by Ms. Alexander. Any discussion or comments? All right, hearing and seeing none, we'll go ahead and vote. Ms. Chahusky?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Rest of us vote electronically, please. All right, motion carries. Dr. Funches.
Come on. I got one more grow our own candidate for us,
All
board. We are very excited about Mr. Adrian Perryman, also a former district student. Davidson Elementary, Mount Vernon Elementary, Arrowview Middle School, and finished his high school career at San Bernardino High School. Congratulations, sir. So a few things that were said about him: very passionate about student learning, a collaborative leader, excellent communicator, and a positive team builder. We introduce to you, board, tonight, Mr. Adrian Perryman.
Thank you, Dr. Funches. Welcome, Mr. Perryman.
Board members, I really appreciate the opportunity. Dr. Wyatt, Mr. Tillman, Superintendent Ariano, really appreciate the opportunity. Also, I appreciate Ms. Anna Applegate for helping me out. Words of encouragement, really appreciate that. Dr. Funches for his guidance. Ms. Clark kept telling me to keep applying. Keep applying. You can do it. You can do it. And I really appreciate that. My Sanji family that supported me as I became a interim VP over at Curtis Middle School, and supported me while I was gone, and just gave me the support I needed. I think that's about it. I just really overwhelmed and humbled by the appointment. And I do have my wife and my son here.
All right, let's have them stand up back there so we can see them and acknowledge them. All right.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Perryman, and to your wife, or your wonderful husband, and your son, to your amazing dad. So congratulations to your family. And Dr. Funches, thank you. Wonderful presentation and celebration of our newest administrators and leaders to our district.
I also want to thank Mr. Mauricio, Superintendent Mr. Mauricio Ariano, for allowing our candidates to come up and introduce us to their families. Good deal.
Yeah, it was a really nice touch, and I want to give Mr. Ariano the credit of that, of showing a little bit more appreciation for our leaders, for their hard work, for getting to where they're at, and to encourage and motivate them to do an excellent job, make hope happen in our district. So congratulations to our new administrators. All right, moving on. I miss a level. 6.6, job description, Assistant Director of Family Engagement. Be it resolved, the Board of Education approves the job description as amended for the Assistant Director of Family Engagement.
Second.
It's been moved by Vice President Tillman, second by Ms. Ceballos. Any discussion or comments? All right, hearing seeing none, let's go ahead and vote.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Husky. Okay, motion carries. Moving on, 6.7, lift, readmit of expulsion of students. Let me get to the reading section. Be resolved, the Board of Education authorizes the readmission of the following students with identification numbers as indicated below to schools of San Diego City Unified School District in accordance with the board rules and regulations and in compliance with Education Code Section 48900.
Moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Vice President Tillman, second by Ms. Ceballos. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, let's go ahead and vote.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Husky. Motion carries. Moving on to 6.8, petition to expunge, rescind, or modify youth court or expulsion. Let me get there. Be resolved, the Board of Education authorizes expulsion and or youth court modification, expungement, or rescinding of the following students with identification numbers as indicated below to schools of San Diego City Unified School District in accordance with the board rules and regulations and in compliance with Education Code Section 48900.
Moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Vice President Tillman, second by Ms. Rosales Medina. Any discussion? All right, hearing seeing none, let's go ahead and vote.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Husky. Okay, motion carries. Moving on to 6.9, other closed session action. Be it resolved, the Board of Education accepts a notice of recommendation for disciplinary action and statement of charges to suspend without pay for 7 days the following classified employee from his or her employment with the district, HR class -23-24-02-ER.
Moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Vice President Tillman, second by Ms. Ceballos. Any comments or discussion? Hearing and seeing none, let's go ahead and vote.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Husky. Okay, motion carries. Moving on to 7.0, reports and comments by union organizations. 7.1, San Mateo Teachers Association. Woo, all right. Yay. And thank you to SBTA for being here today, representing. Maybe. No, I'm just kidding. Ms. Alcala.
Good evening, President Wyatt, Vice President Tillman, Superintendent Ariano, members of the board and cabinet. I'm Ashley Beatus Alcala, President of the San Bernardino Teachers Association, and I'm coming before you tonight on behalf of our 3,000 members. I come before you this evening to let you know that our contract did expire on June 30th, 2023. We've been negotiating in good faith with the district since April, but we have yet to settle on a successor agreement. We do have negotiations scheduled for this Friday, and we expect that the district will come ready for our meeting on Friday, and that we will be able to come to an agreement very soon. So we thank the board for their direction and for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Alcala. You're very kind. 7.2, California School Employee Association.
No comments.
Thank you very much. I need to put my glasses back on. 7.3, Communication Workers of America.
No comments.
Thank you very much. 7.4, San Mateo School Police Officers Association.
And no comment.
All right, hearing none, we'll move on to 8.0, action items. 8.1, Personnel Report number 3, dated August 22nd, 2023, which contains actions such as hiring, retirements, resignations, promotions, and terminations.
As presented.
Moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Vice President Tillman, second by Ms. Ceballos. Any discussion or comments? All right, hearing and seeing none, let's go ahead and vote. Mr. Husky?
Aye.
Thank you. On this one, we will, and I do apologize, let me move it down a little bit. We will be inviting our student board members to vote as well. So pardon me for the little misstep there. Ms. Chavez?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Ms. Ochoa?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Ms. Rojo?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, move on and vote electronically for the board members. Mr. Husky was an aye. Motion carries. Moving on to 8.2, ratification of amendment number 1 to the special education MOU with SOAR Charter Academy. Be it resolved, the Board of Education ratifies amendment number 1 to the special education memorandum of understanding with SOAR Charter Academy, extended term of the agreement to June 30th, 2026.
Moved.
Second.
It was moved by Vice President Tillman, second by Ms. Rosales Medina. We'll go ahead and go over to our student board members. Ms. Chavez?
Aye.
Ms. Ochoa?
Aye.
Ms. Rojo?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Mr. Husky?
Aye.
All right, rest of us will vote electronically, please. All right, motion carries. Mr. Ariano's, I'm going to have to watch him over here. He's motivating me. Okay, 9.0 consent list. 9.1 approval of consent list.
Moved.
Second.
It's been motioned by Vice President Tillman, seconded by Ms. Ceballos, and I do see a light on. Ms. Alexander.
Yes, hi. So I would like to pull 9.5, 9.6, and 9.12. I'm curious to know more about our protocols around how we pick general contractors or services? Because I noticed that all three of these companies were not local.
Okay, very good. So just for, to make sure I'm correct, 9.5, 9.6, 9.12? Thank you very much. Any others?
I'll talk more once you close those items.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. All right, hearing, seeing none, let's go ahead and vote on the consent agenda as amended. Oh, and so I'll start with our student board members. Ms. Chavez,
Aye.
Ms. Ochoa,
Aye.
Ms. Rojo.
Aye.
Very good. Ms. Chahusky.
Aye.
Thank you. Rest of us vote electronically, please. All right, motion carries. We'll move on to 9.5. Let me get there. Award of bid number 22-34, tree maintenance and removal services district-wide in the amount of $1.5 million. And I will defer now to Ms. Alexander.
Thank you. So what I noticed is that this company isn't local, and we did advertise in local papers. And it seemed to be consistent with all of the agencies that we've selected where they're out of San Bernardino. So I was wondering, is there a way to, what is our policy around that, for one?
And I will probably turn this over to Mr. Comnick, and then before that, Vice President Tillman.
And then we can get the technical details from Mr. Comnick, but I will say this has come up a number of times over the years, and the board has always tried to find ways to ensure that the business gets to hopefully somebody in San Bernardino, Highland, the district, but legally you can't restrict it just to businesses in our district. The state law doesn't allow you to do it. There might be something where you can give some extra points for being local, but in the end, it's going to come down to the lowest cost. And if that company can deliver it at that cost, you have to go with the lowest bidder.
Okay, so just for clarification, you're saying our source selection is based on cost?
No, I didn't say that. I said that in the end, well, it is, if the lowest bidder can perform the job, then the lowest bidder will get the job. Now, if the district staff look at the lowest bidder and say they're not capable, they don't have the bonding, they don't have the insurance, they have a bad track record, then you wouldn't give them the business. But if the lowest bidder can do the job, then you have to award the lowest bidder.
Okay. So thank you for that explanation. But what I would like to recommend is that we go back and we look at what we can put in policy in terms of just language, because I feel like there is something we can state to inspire supporting local businesses, especially when you see something like tree maintenance and removal services. I find it hard to believe that we cannot select a company that's local, that's in San Bernardino. So I would just like for us to go back and revisit that, just to see if there is an opportunity, one, to work on our language, even if, and I'm not sure if it's not legal. So that's why I would like for us to go back and challenge that. And then look at the language to see what we can put in there to make sure that we are supporting local businesses.
Thank you, Ms. Alexander. Ms. Rosales Medina.
Thank you, actually, for bringing this up, because this has been something as well as I brought up many years ago, and I think this is good to really look at it. How can we do that? I know San Bernardino Community College many years ago added specific language to their policy to include that locals take priority. But I would like to look at that and seeing how we can, as Ms. Alexander mentioned, maybe challenge it and try to see how we can move forward by adding language that sets priority or that gets those extra points, as you mentioned, Mr. Tillman, something that kind of motivates. And even if we have to maybe do an annual vendor recruitment opportunity, maybe some of them don't know how to apply or how to, get all these requirements in. If we can provide one of those sessions for locals as well, I think that would be beneficial. So I definitely agree and support that.
Thank you, Ms. Rosales Medina. An excellent point. I use some of the local arborists myself for my own home, and they are licensed and can do such work. And I agree. I'm huge on using local talent and local businesses if we can. And Mr. Comnick, I'm sure you have the legal technicalities on that, and for clarification, maybe for the board or to further educate us. We do have some new board members as well, and I would love to know about the RFP process. And is there even a possibility of us, giving an opportunity for our local businesses to have the opportunity, not just the opportunity, but to possibly be even given priority. So.
No, thank you for the question. And to Mr. Tillman's point, I don't believe there's limiting language that we can isolate down to a specific locality or area that would not be equitable to all other vendors for access to provide services. There is language to make sure that we have not only the lowest bid, but also what is the best value to the district. So we're looking for both things, best value as well as cost considerations and the availability, as Mr. Tillman said, to deliver the services within the parameters of the scope of work that we've asked for. Also, are they able to meet all the obligations of being able to provide those services to our district, insurance, bonding, and so forth. I can definitely review our current RFP process with our purchasing department. I can look into county procurement guidelines and get some additional guidance from our county office to ensure that our current board policy, our current RFP process is consistent with Ed Code, with county procurement guidance, with state and federal guidance that we operate under in our quest to provide services to our district.
Thank you, Mr. Comnick, and then I'll now go to Ms. Marion Grande.
Hi, I was just wondering, thank you for bringing that up. If Terry, if we have something on the request for bids, if we have a sentence that says for information how to apply and submit a bid, contact and then a number, that way you could open it up as a local say, and then they think, well, I don't know how to do that. So with a little sentence it just says that would relieve that, I think. No? Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Grande. Ms. Alexander?
And I wanted to go back. I appreciate, Terry, you giving more explanation about our process. I just want to make sure that we revisit it, and somehow with the language, I understand that legally we probably couldn't limit it to local, but I think there's something with source selection. There's a way from a procurement standpoint we can somehow inspire local business, especially for certain areas like tree cutting services. So that's what kind of triggered me. That's why I was like, wow, and when I looked at the consistency of where we're advertising, and then we're not able to even identify companies that are local, that just kind of caught my attention. So I'll be curious to know about our policy in writing, also what we can do to inspire local businesses. So is it that we need to have, like was suggested by Abigail, to have maybe some type of seminar, some type of sessions where we're informing the community or local businesses of our RFP process? That would be something that I think that we should also add into our overall process. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Alexander. Vice President Tillman.
I definitely agree that if we can hire people from San Bernardino and Highland, it's the best thing ever. I do want to reassure you, though, we used to have a lady on the board named Judy Penman, who was the president of the Chamber of Commerce. And she was huge and looked at any and in every way possible to give an advantage to local people. We spent tens of thousands of dollars on legal counsel reviewing any different way that you could do it. I'm just telling you, the existing policy is reflective of that. Now, that's not to suggest that, we don't look at it again. I'm all for it. I just want to just tell you, it's not something that we haven't looked at. And you were here, Abigail, when Judy went bent over backwards to say there's got to be. She would be adamant and be upset, more upset than Mrs. Alexander is tonight, that these contracts weren't going to local vendors. She knew the particular vendors. A lot of times, the vendors cannot offer the services at the lower cost because of scalability. If you have companies that are doing large jobs all the time, sometimes because our district is so large, the scale of the jobs they can't accommodate because they aren't the type of job that a small business can really compete with. One of the biggest things is the insurance and the bonding part of it, and so I'm not being negative about it. I'm all for looking at ways of, qualifying more local businesses and getting them to compete for the business. But I just want to be realistic. We've been looking at this for years and years and years, and it's good that we're going to continue. But I just want to be realistic about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Tillman. Ms. Rosales Medina.
While you do that, can you just provide the actual language? I'd like to see the actual language within either federal, state, or even local school districts. So that way I'm able to reflect. 'Cause I know there's words that can be moved or played with, like for instance, must, required, or so forth, may. So I want to look at the actual language. That would be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rosales Medina. Any further discussion or questions? All right, was it motioned on that? I can't remember if it was. It was not. I
So
did not
moved.
think so. All right, motion by Vice President Tillman. We have to motion on each one individually as we pulled them. I should have done that earlier.
I'll second.
All right, it's been seconded by Ms. Rosales Medina. I believe there is no more discussion. Ms. Oh, wait, let me start with our students. Sorry about that. I gotta come over and do that, so give me a second here. All right, we'll start with Ms. Chavez.
Aye.
Ms. Ochoa.
Aye.
Ms. Rojo.
Aye.
Ms. Chahusky.
Aye.
All right, thank you very much. The rest will vote electronically. All right, motion carries. We'll move on to 9.6. Award of bid number 2301, emergency supplies district-wide. Entertain a motion first. Do we have to have discussion first or motion first?
I mean, Ms. Alexander pulled it.
Okay, you pulled it. All right, go ahead, Ms. Alexander.
Just had another clarification question. Vendors, local, just trying to learn a little bit more about our process here in terms of emergency supplies district-wide.
Ms. Alexander, was that directed towards anyone or just comment? All
And
right.
clarification, if someone can address it. I mean, same concern as the other one, local.
Okay, and I think that even myself would like a copy of that.
Right.
Because I was not here at that time and it would be good information for me to learn as well. So thank you, Vice President Tillman, for the historical context as well.
So moved.
Been moved by Vice President Tillman,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Rosales Medina. We'll go ahead and vote. So Ms. Chavez,
Aye.
Ms. Ochoa,
Aye.
Ms. Rojo,
Aye.
Ms. Chahusky.
Aye.
Thank you very much, ladies. We will go ahead and vote electronically. Motion carries. Moving on to 9.12, master agreements with various vendors to provide mobile DJ entertainment services and equipment and materials for various district events. Ms. Alexander.
Like a broken record.
That is okay.
So this is the same concern again. Audiovisual companies, DJs, trying to figure out what was the process here again. I think that we really need to revisit how we appoint and how we award business. I understand historically this has been addressed, but again, it doesn't mean that that negates the fact that we shouldn't revisit our process or our policy annually. Because businesses do come in, and I do agree that there will be times where maybe they don't have the same type of licenses or the same type of services. But again, if we don't step up and educate local vendors then we'll always receive the services that we have. And maybe these are long-term relationships, but I'm just wondering, what is our policy here? Because these are, again, not local businesses.
Thank you, Ms. Alexander. Couldn't agree more. Vice President Tillman.
And to help you out, Mrs. Alexander, if this is one you're really concerned about, and you thought, for instance, maybe you could recruit and get other people involved, then this one has a concern because you notice this has an effective date of August 23rd to 2023 to June 30th, 2028, which means they're not going to go out again. So if it's something that you want to look at and somehow, for instance, you want to do a vendor fair and you think you want to do a recruitment and you think there's some companies that might be able to, you want to keep this from the mind so you can bring it back to the board so that we can amend this and open it again. Because if you don't, it won't be open again until 2028. Can we open it again, Terry, if we, Mr.
We can modify.
Huh?
We can modify.
Yeah, so something just to keep in mind.
Oh, you're saying exactly what? I'm sorry.
So I'm saying that just keep this one in mind.
Okay.
Because say we decide to go out and do a vendor recruitment, then you want to bring this back to the board and say, we want to allow for recruitment again for this particular area of work.
Okay.
Okay, thank you both. Ms. Rosales Medina.
Yeah, then I would like to amend or modify this where it's not so many years, just for it to be in the record. Can we do that?
That's a technical one for me. Karen, do you know if we can modify that?
It's showing all the way to 2028, so modify that maybe for 1 year.
That's contract.
Contract is for 5 years. That's
Right.
what's on. So I don't know if we can do it.
This was the agreement that
Right.
they had entered into, so we can't change the terms of that.
Oh, sorry. Ms. Ceballos, raise your hand up before Ms. Ceballos, Ms. Chahusky. I'm sorry. Ms.
I
Chahusky,
don't
go
know,
ahead.
'cause I
Since you-
can't see.
Okay, we'll take you next.
Okay, I believe when you have the master agreements, like it's up with like a list of vendors that are approved to be used during that time. So it's not necessarily that any one of those could be used, but you know, that schools know that the part of the master agreement is that schools know these are approved vendors that are already vetted that can be used. I think we should try to recruit more. I don't know if there are DJs and others that are already on the list that are from San Bernardino that were approved previously. So could we see at the next meeting what other vendors are on the list for these particular type of vendors?
I can bring back the total list that these three are added to.
Thank you, because there may be some already from the city. These may just be additions. I'm just not sure, so I don't know the answer to that.
Thank you, Ms. Chahusky. Ms. Ceballos.
Just kind of wanted to chime in as the discussion was happening. I was hearing Mr. Tillman, kind of mention about like the bigger, jobs because we are a big district, and some smaller companies may not have the capacity to provide, the service that we're requiring. For this one though, and I have to go back and look at the other ones, but this one it looks like we're entering with 3 different smaller companies. Is that correct? Am I reading that correctly? The Arias Events. Okay, so just to kind of go back to what Ms. Alexander and even Ms. Rosales were mentioning, I think we could. This is an area of improvement. I think we've said it enough that I would support that as well, to take a look and really try to change the practice as much as we can to give priority to local vendors and businesses. So just wanted to highlight that piece. I wasn't sure, couldn't we get a smaller DJ company added to this? Just a general comment.
So this doesn't break the bid threshold. I think this is establishing a list so that school sites, departments can have pre-approved resources to go to. If the board desires, we can pull this item and I can work with purchasing and bring this back with a more comprehensive list for the board to consider.
Okay, Ms. Miles.
I would support that. If
Okay.
it's not something that's, of urgent need, I think I would support that.
Mr. Husky, I do see, but Vice President Tillman is next.
It would be a mistake to pull the item because the item was presented to us because there's a need at our sites. So if you have a site that right now that wants to go out and get these services, this contract, I'm assuming, is here before us because another contract just like this just ended, right? So if you didn't have this contract in place, then you don't have any vendors that those sites can go to tomorrow or next week or next month. So the thing to do would be to pass this tonight, but you can always add more vendors later. But you don't want to be without people who can perform these services now. We went through the same exact thing when we had Mrs. Penman, and she convinced other folks to pull it. And you literally had sites that couldn't get work done because we didn't have the contracts in place to allow them to enter into business with a vendor. So you're better off approving this tonight, and that's why I said you want to make note of it so that you can say, let's make sure we don't forget about this one item for DJ. And I'm not saying these are small companies because everything in our district is big. If you think about our graduations, those are big companies that have to come in and bring in the speakers and the setup and those type of things. And the thing that usually prohibits most of them is the insurance and the bonding, because sometimes they can't afford to do it, and you end up losing a lot of companies. But if you didn't demand that type of insurance and that level of bonding, then you put you're exposing the district to financial problems. So I'm not saying that there aren't local vendors that can service us, but I say we should approve these tonight and then go out and look for those other vendors. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Tillman, Ms. Alexander, and then Ms. Chahusky.
I just want to get clarification. Are you saying that these are our only vendors that we have?
This is a master agreement for
Right.
these type of services. And it says right here for 20.
I see that.
So which means that the only vendors that can be used for these services are these three vendors right now.
We can add to this list.
That's my point.
Yes, sir.
You can add to it.
Yes, sir.
But my point is, if you don't approve this, then you don't have any companies approved to provide these services for these dates.
So here's the opportunity. It appears as if we need to go back and revisit our vendor list and how we go about selecting vendors, so we're not dealing with a situation where we have limited resources, because a district this large should not only have 3 vendors of this magnitude that we're referencing, if I'm hearing correctly. So can we make sure that that is actually the case?
We may even, recommendation, need a small presentation on that, Mr. Comnick, to educate us, because it seems like it's a rather important concern. And again, we have 4 rather new board members, and it would help them out tremendously, I'm sure, as well as myself. I'll say that too. Ms. Chahusky was next, Vice President Tillman. Ms. Chahusky?
So Danny is somewhat right. There's a very difference between 912 and 95 and 96. Master agreements give a list of approved, vetted, insured and bond vendors that schools can use. There may be other vendors who have already been approved. There may not be. This is just a list of vendors that have been vetted that a school could enter into an agreement with should they want to use them. Like how we had the DJs for I think it was at Jones that had a DJ for the back to school day. So if we approve these, they may be selected by a school to be used. They may not be selected by a school to be used. They may select somebody else that's on the list, or they may ask for a vendor to be added because they know of somebody. But they do, as Danny said, Mr. Tillman said, have to have that insurance and the bonding and everything to protect us and to protect them. So I would like to have Mr. Komnick at our next meeting or at a soon meeting to review both the bid process and the master agreement process, because they are somewhat different, where you have the district contracting with a specific company after going to bid for a service, and a master agreement where we have a list of approved vendors that any school can then ask to go into an agreement with for a specific event or service. So I would support Mr. Komnick doing that. I also think we should approve this item tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Husky. Vice President Tillman.
I just want to clarify, there are a lot of things involved in procurement and putting out RFPs, and it's not a simple process. Now, you would hope that the businesses that you want in your area will be looking to apply for and fill out the information for these RFPs. But this is a lot of work that's taking place in order to get this list, as small as it may seem. But you read in the top part what the schools will be able to use these particular vendors for. My only point is, you want to approve this item now. And if you think there are a lot of businesses in San Bernardino and Highland that can do the same work and they just haven't done it because someone hasn't called them or we haven't done a good enough job of recruitment, you can still do that. And then this list will grow so that when a school has an event and they need this type of services, then they'll have a bigger list. But I don't think you want to prove your point by tabling this, going out and doing this exhaustive recruitment, and we did this before, and you end up with the same 3 vendors. I mean, you hope that we're doing something wrong, and it's going to give you this big, long list of vendors, but it doesn't happen that way because there's so many laws and there are so many requirements for a person to legally do business with the district that a lot of times, your mom and pop DJs can't even compete for the business. But I just encourage you not to say you're going to table this tonight. And I say that only because if you do table it, you're going to find out why I told you not to table it. Because they're going to have sites complaining that we needed this and we couldn't get it because the district didn't have any approved vendors. So I just hope we would approve this and add to it later. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Tillman. Ms. Alexander.
I just further support what Mickey shared. I mean, if we can get the list, she provided a perfect explanation of RFP process versus master agreement. So I completely understand and concur with what Mickey proposed.
Thank you, Ms. Alexander. All right, I see no other lights, so that means no other discussion. I will ask for a motion.
So moved.
It's been motioned by Vice President Tillman, second by Ms. Chahusky. Was that correct? I think so. All right. Let's go ahead and vote. I will start with our student board members. Ms. Chavez?
Aye.
Ms. Ochoa?
Aye.
Ms. Rojo?
Aye.
Ms. Chahusky?
Aye.
Thank you very much, ladies. We'll go ahead and vote electronically. All right, motion carries, and I will say a very healthy discussion. Look forward to learning more about the process. Thank you, Mr. Komnick, to you and your team. We'll move on now to, I believe it's 10.0, reports and comments. 10.1, student board members. And let me look at our list, and we'll go in the same order we have been. So, Ms. Chavez, you are up first. And welcome again. Congratulations. She was actually, I just want to put a little note on Ms. Chavez. She was out there working very hard at the San Bernardino High School Cardinals football game as a barista at their little coffee stand. So good job to you and your friends there, and congratulations to the football team for a big win over my alumni. They crushed them, actually. Go ahead.
Thank you, President Dr. Scott Wyatt. I would like to start off with saying good evening to everyone. My name is Ana Victoria Chavez. I'm a junior at San Bernardino High School. I'm also a student organizer for Inland Congregation United for Change, which is a nonprofit organization here in our community. I would like to give thanks to the board members for giving me the opportunity and making it possible to be a student board member and give the student perspective. This school year has been off to a great start. I am grateful to have incredible teachers this school year, which is not surprising because we have outstanding teachers that we had a successful back to school night last week on Thursday evening. A great number of parents showed up and had the chance to meet their teachers. We also had the coffee cart selling there, and it was a big success. Also, our first football game of the year was also a huge success. We had a win, the varsity team and the JV team. Go Cardinals! And you know that San Bernardino High School is the flagship of the city. We are endowed to have many alumni that still reside and work in the city. Mr. Superintendent Mauricio Arellano and Vice President Danny Tillman and others that also work here. I would like also to say that I plan to continue to advocate for the student population and make sure we are going in the right direction. I'm also very passionate of advocating for mental health and helping out in my community. Once again, I'm super grateful to be here, and I look forward to representing the student body in our school district. Thank you.
Well done, Ms. Chubb. Well done. Great enthusiasm and way to rub it in a little bit there. So, all right. Yeah, Mr. Ariano really enjoyed that. We'll move on now to Ms. Ochoa.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tatiana Eden Ochoa, a junior at Cajon High School. I am absolutely delighted to be able to fulfill the role as a student board member and represent the students and my fellow peers in the San Bernardino School District. I know this is a big step in bridging the gap between those who make sure our district runs properly and those who inspire us to do that. I have thoroughly enjoyed the process of being here and really enjoy being at a chair with my name in front of it. I would like to report that Cajon's varsity football team, cheer team, and band went to Las Vegas, Nevada the Friday before this one, in which they came back with a 27-2 victory. Cajon represents everywhere. Our Cajon Back to School night resulted in many parents getting an idea of their students' classes and an idea of the students' classes and teachers. After the historical crisis this past weekend, with many concerned, this week everyone was able to safely return this Monday morning. A meeting was held about getting more support from the district for speech and debate, which Dr. Rodriguez ran, and 2 other district members. I strive to be an active member in my community and campus, and my promise in this position is to use my voice to take action for students. I am a 3-year member of the San Bernardino Rotary Life Club and a captain and member of the Cajon Speech and Debate team and mock trial team. I have a passion for community service and advocacy, as well as strong interest in political science and public service. I very luckily have the support of my 2 parents, Alma Ninoska Ochoa and Armanda Ochoa. As my first objective towards change, I would like to focus on a 2-semester plan. The first semester, I would like to further education and work on more advocacy for human trafficking in San Bernardino in order to make sure our students are as aware and safe as possible at all times. I do know there has been some progress towards this issue, but when it comes to a pressing issue like human trafficking that is not going away, it's not one and done objective. I would like to make sure that it is properly covered and students are in the best position to protect their safety by being aware. The second semester objective is to work on more education and advocacy towards substance addiction to nicotine and other drugs used among students in our district. Teaching about the long-term consequences on your body and future endeavors due to this is something we need to instill in our students now. Seeing how we can reduce usage and exposure on campus is vital. I would like to push the importance of academic teams in our San Bernardino school campuses, which only help students with communication, presentation, networking, and overall life skills. I hope to be able to make progress every meeting and to help and benefit fellow students in my district to be the fullest degree. Once again, I'm Tatiana Eden Ochoa, and I'm honored to be here and would like to thank everyone who had a hand in that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ochoa. Job very well done. All right, Ms. Rojo.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Daisy Rojo. I am a senior representative of Middle College High School. First, I would like to express my gratitude towards Superintendent Mr. Arellano, Board President Dr. Wyatt, Board Vice President Mr. Tillman, and all members of the board and cabinet, as well as Ms. Mickey, who is here virtually tonight. Being born and raised in this district, being my 12th year this year, I'm honored to represent not just my school, but all SBCUSD students, including those in the dual enrollment program, and so much more. This relationship we have with Valley has influenced my career and goals in my educational journey with SBCUSD, including college career readiness, as well as advocacy in topics such as financial literacy and wellness centers for all students and schools. Considering my high school, middle college has around 250 students, they started off the semester strong by providing strong communication with all students, and most importantly, the parents, especially this past weekend. Thanks to SBCUSD, they provided proper precautions and constant communication with all schools, students, and parents during this historical crisis we experienced this past weekend. And this semester, I personally have experienced, thanks to Dr. Rodriguez and Sylvia Juarez, our first senior trip. 3 days and 2 nights. It was very memorable and something middle college really appreciated. Coming back from COVID, I know some seniors weren't able to have that experience, and we really show a lot of thanks to Dr. Rodriguez for helping us get that. As well as SBCUSD for providing technology such as computers for our new Adobe program, Adobe Prep, and TVs for all teachers in their classrooms. Lastly, one thing I'm very thankful for is the music program that just started at Middle College, which is known as Orchestra. I play the cello personally, and my school is barely starting this 0 period for orchestra, which I give thanks to Scott Nelson, our coordinator for VAPA, because Middle College doesn't have any music or sports. So I'm very thankful for that. And thank you so much for your time and this amazing opportunity as a student representative. I hope you have a great rest of your evening.
All righty. Thank you, Ms. Rojo. Ladies, well done, well done. I believe they're excused at this point, right? Or they stay?
Oh, they got tons of homework.
They have tons of homework, so I think at this time you're excused, and if you choose to, as Vice President Tillman said, we're actually rather early tonight, so you're more than welcome to stay, but if you'd like to go, you can as well. So we will now move on to board members, and we'll start to my right with Miss Mary Ellen.
Thank you. I have 2 exciting things to share with you today. Let's see. The first one is MIG. They call it MIG, Masters in Governance Program, which you'll be happy to know I started in person last Saturday in San Marcos. And there was about 100 people, 100 chances to make new friends, and naturally I sat in the front row. And this is because they ask us for input all during the day. They always want to know, how are they doing? Are we listening? Are we paying attention? And so we were able to give them pointers on what they need to do. So we didn't have talking heads, just talking heads. Nope, we had to turn to our neighbor and tell them exactly what we just said. And then we turned to this neighbor and tell them what we said. So it was great. And then we had to get up and walk around, and they fed us a lot of food. And what I really liked was it was an overview of all the other ones they're going to do in depth. So we didn't just get Brownac or Boardsman or all of this. We had a taste of what the whole thing was going to be. So we can't wait for the next one. So I'm excited about that. And the next one is, here it is. All right, this little paper is in our waiting room. It's called the San Bernardino American Newspaper. Okay, and I know you take it for granted, but we in communication, we notice all of those things. Maria knows. We notice everything that's going on. And so I noticed, being a new member of CSBA, which is California School Boards Association, that's really a big organization. And they put out these wonderful awards. When I saw the conference last year, people were winning all these golden bell and award. Well, I found out they have one called the Golden Quill. And I looked, and I don't remember any newspapers in San Bernardino ever getting it. So I put on my communications cap and started paying attention to this paper. And what I did last year is I sent them on, says this, you can send news press releases right here to Mary at SBD. And I sent her a copy of the Golden Quill Awards and the criteria that they use. And I said, I sure wish I could nominate someone that would fall under these auspices, you know. So from about 6 months ago, their paper started to improve dramatically. And now it's up to about 4 pages, and it's really a lot of educational news stories. So I'm proud to tell you that I went ahead and I did actually nominate it, and they did win. So Clifton Harris gets to come here, and we get to give him his award, a Golden Quill Award from CSBA. So my congratulations to Clifton Harris and the crew, Mary, and I will put the press release, and we will have the agenda, and we'll have a big party here just for that. Thank you. The end.
Thank you very much, Ms. Grande, and thank you for also nominating them and getting that recognition for our city as well. All righty, next is Ms. Rosales Medina.
Anna, thank you for sharing. I've never heard of the newspaper, and I definitely look into what they share and the articles. So thank you so much for bringing that to our attention. Other than that, I just hopefully it seems like we're on cue to end on time, or if not a little bit earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and move that forward.
I know you should put the
All right,
pressure
Ms.
on me.
Rosales Medina, and it's kind of a weird order today. We're going to bounce back over here to Vice President Tillman.
I have two items I'm looking for consensus from board members and discussion. Miss Mary Grande, board member, she asked me to do come talk at the Rotary, but there was a teacher there, and she talked about our adapted physical education, and she mentioned that we have 5,000 students with IEPs, and we have 4 teachers, 1 for high school, 1 for middle school, and 2 for the elementary schools. And it doesn't seem like enough students. She said that when a teacher is out, then there's no coverage. So I just want to see if we got consensus to have Mr. Ariano look into it and make sure that we have enough teachers for to cover the IEPs for the adaptive physical education teachers. She sent me numbers showing that Fontana and surrounding districts smaller than us have more of those teachers. So we might need to have, we have 4 now, we might need to have like 8. So that's just one thing. The second thing is, you know, as board member, we've always had a concern about cost and when students can't pay for stuff. One of the big items has always been gym clothes. And the board took this action year after year. If a student doesn't have money to pay for gym clothes, then the student should be given gym clothes. It's not happening. I mean, this year was one of my worst nightmares because I assured a parent, no, you don't have to have money for gym clothes. Go to your school. They'll give you the gym clothes. The parent was told, no, well, if they don't have money for the gym clothes, she can just wear some leggings and an oversized shirt. I don't want that because then you end up with a situation where the kids that have the money for gym clothes have gym clothes, and the ones that don't are wearing something different. And then the other thing, we've said it over and over again that if the student cannot afford gym clothes, or they come to you and say, I need gym clothes, you're supposed to give it to them. Now, the reason for me to talk about tonight is because we've done it year after year after year. And I really think we're at a point now where if gym clothes are important, then the district should pay for them. Why don't we just have the district pay for gym clothes for our students at the beginning of the school year? If we think the parents should be able to afford it, then the district should be able to afford it. So I'm looking for consensus to agendize it, have the superintendent do the research, find out what it would cost. I think since we receive money for local control funding formula, which means we get additional money for students who are lower socioeconomics, then we should use a little bit of that money to buy the gym clothes for their students. And it would eliminate all these problems with different sites handling gym clothes for students. And it would be totally equitable overnight. Because rather than having someone pay or not be able to pay, everyone would have gym clothes. So I'm looking for consensus to have it agendized and talked about. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Tillman. I'll start to my left with consensus vote. Ms. Ceballos? Obviously, Ms. Tillman, aye. I am aye. Ms. Grande, I just caught you going to, okay, thank you very much. Ms. Rosales
Yes, as
Medina?
well.
All right, and Ms. Alexander? Absolutely, they weren't on here, but what do you think of that, actually, ladies? Ms. Chavez?
Yes, I agree.
All right, Ms. Ochoa?
Yes, I for sure.
All right, thank you very much. Ms. Rojo?
Aye.
I see Ms. Chahusky with the thumbs up. Thank you, Ms. Chahusky. And, in agreement with Vice President Tillman, that this issue's come up too many times, and it should not even be a question at this point at all. So I look forward to having that discussion and being emphatic on our direction. So, all right. Ms. Ceballos? Thank you, Vice President Tillman.
Thank you so much. Not only do I agree with that, but if we could maybe in addition also talk about, because I know it's come up several times as well, about pictures for graduating seniors and things like that. That's come up several times over the last 3 years that I've been here, at least. So I think it'd be a good idea to bring, not only like a package of some sort of things that we are able to offer some of our students. But anyway, going back to my comments. Good evening, everybody. So glad to be here as always. I don't have much. I just really do want to emphasize and say, just again, thank you so much to our maintenance and operations team, our leadership cabinet, and our superintendent as well for the amazing job that they did over the weekend. Many school districts did close around us, and like it's been already mentioned, it's not something that's easy, and sometimes it's not popular, but we do what we believe is best for our students and our staff. So I just want to also take the opportunity to just express my personal individual gratitude to our team and to our cabinet and superintendent for keeping us informed every single step of the way. Every single update, he was constantly updating us on upcoming and new information. So I personally really appreciate that, and I know that the rest of the board also. Aside from that, I think that's pretty much it. Let's finish here on time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ceballos. I appreciate that. Ms. Chahusky?
Good evening, and thank you. I apologize again for not being there tonight, but I am a little under the weather. I'd like to start by also thanking Mauricio, Mr. Ariano, and our cabinet for their diligence and really willing to be up all night for our students. I'd like to thank maintenance and operation, and also Eric Fatir. I know he was also up all night trying to make sure we're on top of things and that our schools and safety and everything was taken care of. I know we talked about, I think Mr. Tillman talked about it, and maybe it was the last meeting, but I'd like an update on where we are on making sure that all of our students have Chromebooks, and what the time turnaround is for students who have an issue with their Chromebook to get a new Chromebook. I know we have some new students that possibly don't have Chromebooks yet, but I know we also have some that have been damaged. And I know Mr. Tillman asked about it, and there's kind of like an update of what that time frame looks like. And lastly, I'd like to congratulate and thank our 3 student board members. I apologize for not being there with you tonight, but it is better that I'm not sitting next to you. And just say that you did a wonderful job tonight, and you're wonderful representatives, and I look forward to our next 3 next time, and a whole year with you guys, because you guys are excellent representatives for our district, and I appreciate you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Chahusky. Moving on over to Ms. Alexander.
Thank you. Want to welcome our 3 new student school board members. Welcome today to your first board meeting. I'm glad you're here. Just a couple things. Positive Youth Development is having the Operation Student Recovery safety briefing tomorrow. So just thought I would share that. It's at the Professional Development Center, Conference Room A. and it's from 8 to 9 a.m. Also, last board meeting, I had mentioned that I wanted to agendize our sponsorship process for Arrowhead United Way, but I don't see it on the agenda, so I just want to make sure we revisit that, because I know that we said that we would, and we need to verify exactly what our sponsorship level will be. Their event's next month, or October. I also got a call regarding just our school lottery process. If we could, in our Friday recap, if we could review and state what it's like so it can be shared, that would be great. Yes, the process for the lotteries. And then lastly, thank you to Mauricio and the cabinet and our maintenance and our operations staff for Monday. I know it wasn't an easy feat, and the decision-making process was not one that came lightly, as you shared at the beginning of the meeting. I think it's also important to share with the public, and if we look into it, just how we go about executing the Brown Act during emergency situations where you engage the board. So that would be the only thing. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Alexander, and I will try to be brief as well. And again, just congratulations to our three new student board members. You ladies did an amazing job tonight, and you're also hanging in tough with us, so thank you for staying for the entire meeting. And again, just a huge thank you and a level of gratitude to our entire San Bernardino City Unified School District family. You know, it was a group effort on everybody's behalf to ensure that our schools are ready to go. And for the folks that were able to show up, we appreciate, and the ones that stayed home, again, we understand completely, and we are thankful for that as well. But again, it just started with tremendous leadership. So I want to thank Mr. Ariano as well, our superintendent, as well as our cabinet, and all the folks that were up all night, just again, giving more than 100% effort. If you can do that, they did it, to ensure that our schools are going to be safe and that we made the best decision for our students, families, and staff. You know, there's a quote we used to have where I used to work in juvenile hall, which was kind of interesting where you'd find such a quote. It says, "The right thing may not always be popular, the popular thing might always be right." In this case, we were not the popular person. I'll say that. But, and I know Mr. R knows that, because we were just looking at each other on the phone like, oh my gosh, what do we do? And we were getting a lot of heat. But we stood firm by our decision, and we know definitely now that it was the right decision to keep our schools open. So we did the right thing. Might not have been the popular thing, but it was definitely the right thing. And just on the issues that Ms. Ceballos, my colleague Ms. Ceballos, and Vice President Tillman brought up, and others, just about equity, and our kids having access to things that most kids would have access to. I know this board strives, since I've been on here, it's not even been a question to assist our children and families. So I'm looking forward to that discussion. And I did say emphatically, maybe that's a little too strong there, Mr. Ariano, but we mean that. We mean what we say, and we want to make sure our words become actions for our kids and our families. So, and I don't think there's any intent on that not happening. Sometimes it's just making sure that the directives and instructions and requests make it to the ground level where it's most important, with our students. So really looking forward to that. And to our students, we want to make sure you have everything and anything possible to succeed. And that is my comments as well. And I will now turn it over to Superintendent Ariano.
Thank you, President White, Vice President Tillman, distinguished board, distinguished student board members, and members of the audience. First of all, to our student board members, welcome. Thank you for being here today. And you were very, your comments were very thoughtful and important. So thank you. And thank you for the shout out to Mr. Tillman and I as our fellow Cardinal shout out. So I really appreciate that. Yeah, and I got my Purdue hat. So. Also want to rub it in, President White, I want to repeat that Purdue did beat Fohi, not only the varsity team, but the JV team. So Danny and I are pretty excited about that.
Superintendent Ariano, that does hurt, but I will say I was wearing Cardinal gear.
All right,
at the
good
game.
man.
So I was representing who I am and where I'm at. And well, after halftime, I had to go change, but thank you.
I also want to say thank you for the kudos to me, but I got to tell you, I have a great cabinet, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so proud of the cabinet that I work with every day, on a Saturday, on a Sunday, on a Friday, whether it's 11:30 at night, 2 in the morning. When we need to get together and Zoom or call, they're Johnny on the spot. So I just want everybody to know how blessed I am and how grateful I am to work with Chief and assistant soups, just a great team, and I'm just very honored. So the kudos really goes to the team. So I love you guys. Thank you guys for all your hard work. I 100% concur with the PE close and any other items that we can find in terms of, why are we asking folks to pay for these things, right? And we want everyone to feel special and included and proud, right? So I emphatically concur with this direction of the board, and we'll be working on that. So I appreciate that, everyone. I won't be brief because I love to share good things that are happening in the district, and I'm going to start with one is our Director of Special Education, Dr. Wanda Lundy. This past week, on August 16th, she and her team earned by the State of California Advisory Commission on Special Education the Grazer Outstanding Achievement and Learning Award for their program titled Dyslexia Matters, Making the Invisible Visible. And with that came a $5,000 award. But I think what's more important about this award is, and I was sharing with Dr. Lundy an email, she and her team are ahead of her time. Dyslexia is just now come into conversation at the State Department level, where our team has been talking about it for years. So in recognition of that great award that you received on the 16th, we also want to recognize you, Dr. Lundy. So we've been celebrating our own folks when they make the district shine. So we'd like to present you with a plaque. I'd like to have you come on down.
Superintendent Arellano, do you want to give Dr. Lundy an opportunity to make a comment, please? Come on up, Dr. Lundy. You might not have knew that, but we know you're ready. And I see you have some of your team with you too, so we can introduce them as well.
You're on the microphone.
Mr. Tillman likes that.
Mia, you're on our team too.
And the picture of y'all is right behind you.
Let's have if we have team members here, we expect our team to be up here. We want to make sure you all receive acknowledgement.
So, as the director of special education, I just want to say thank you to my team and also Ms. Barbie. She is in San Diego, but she's watching online. And also to the parents, because this initiative for dyslexia initially started, and I believe Myra was on the committee, right? He was with us when we started this work back in 2020. It started with a handful of parents who were really passionate about dyslexia, and they brought like a concern. And so from that concern, we worked collectively with our school psychologists, our speech therapists, our administrators, ed services, really to come together to figure out collectively what it is that we can do to move forward. So this is really like a culmination of all those efforts that we've been doing along the way. And obviously it's not a perfect science, but it was an indication that if you stick to something and if you really believe in it, then hopefully others will be able to jump on board. And then and I was thinking about actually Mr. Tillman, because I had came before the board and asked for the science of reading. And there was a little bit of pushback that I had gotten because I wanted to do something special for students with dyslexia. And you kind of spoke up and said, you know what, if she wants to try it and if the money is there, can't she try it? So it was actually part of those efforts that we are utilizing with the science of reading to actually push this work forward. And not to say that whole language is not the way to go for reading. However, when you have students who have a specialty, a special disability that needs specialized instruction, that's where this piece comes in. So I'm kind of babbling a little bit, but I just want to say thank you to the board for being supportive of the work of special education. Thank you to my team. So I have everybody from my assistant director, coordinator, secretary, and Mia, who's kind of like my parent liaison, also does just a lot of work, whatever we need with us in the department. So everything for us in the special education department, we like to think of it as a community effort. So we appreciate you, Ms. Applegate, and then also to Dr. Rodriguez, who also helped to lead us as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lundy, and thank you, team.
And Miss Mary Allen, yes, because she was a teacher at the time too, and also supported us with these efforts. So this has been going on for a very long time.
So we got a couple board members up here that have been involved, and
yes,
all the way back to what year again?
2020.
Okay.
Yeah, so
thank you.
actually during it was a
During
big
COVID.
thing. You know, we turned a negative into a positive.
Hey, that's what we do here.
And we do have enough APE teachers, by the way. Okay, thank you. I have one
We look forward to
vacancy.
that data, Dr. Lundy.
Yes.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you, guys. Congratulations.
Well
Appreciate
done. Well
ya.
done. Congratulations. Mr. Ariano, Superintendent Ariano.
Yeah, so continuing on some great news, San Marino City Unified was asked to once again be a sponsor for the upcoming 2024 CABE annual conference. And I've been asked to serve as the honorary chair, so I proudly accept that opportunity to be an honorary chair. And the sponsor is not any type of money, by the way. It's the sponsorship of the district and the wisdom of the district and the support systems that we can provide the conference. So the conference will be in February, and San Marino City Unified School District will be prominently listed in all the conference programs and the marketing materials. So it's a great way for our district to shine throughout the state of California. And because our EL department is so well known across the district, we are viewed as cutting edge. So we're really proud of all the work that Anna Applegate and her staff have done with that. So excited about that. Also, some more special education kudos. Currently, we have professors and educators from the Ho Chi Minh City University of Education, my understanding is, who are here to observe teachers teaching the basics curriculum framework for moderate to severe students. Apparently, this organization adopted that curriculum many years ago and have been coming here to see how the curriculum is implemented and utilized with students. And they're here this week to observe our teachers and to ask questions. So welcome to them. I didn't get a chance to meet them or see them, but good job, everybody. You know, everybody's coming to San Bernardino to see best practices. So we applaud you guys. Thank you very much. Since our last board meeting, I've had the opportunity to continue to meet people in the community. Had a meeting with Cal State San Bernardino President Tomas Rivera. We agreed to re-up our monthly meetings with the superintendent, with Dr. Morales, and with the chancellor of the junior colleges. So we're going to continue to have these conversations now on a monthly basis so that we can do these vertical articulations of our institutions and see how we can continue to serve the students in the San Bernardino City and Highland areas. So we're very excited about that relationship being reactivated. Had a chance to meet with Connie Leyva, the former state senator and former chair of the Education Committee, who is now the executive director of KVCR. So I had an opportunity to not only tap into her wisdom about education, but also had an opportunity to tour KVCR. And so she made a pledge that she'll be working with many of our schools, specifically Urbita Elementary School, on some of their television news shows that they have put together, and kids are being involved. So we're excited about that relationship. Had an opportunity to visit Anton Elementary, Bradley Elementary, Pacific High School, Fairfax Elementary, Del Rosa Elementary. Let me tell you, we have some outstanding leaders and teachers and custodians that are just putting together great work on behalf of kids. So I've really enjoyed all of my visits to the school sites thus far. And I want to again thank our M&O and our landscapers, our grounds folks. The schools are just looking outstanding. So they've been really buying into this whole jewel of the community concept, and they're doing a great job. So I got to give them kudos because they heard the message and they're putting forth and they're making us look good and making our campuses shine. So thank you to everybody. I also had an opportunity to meet with actor Tony Plana. I know Dr. Rodriguez connected me with Tony, and he's almost become kind of my best friend. He texts me like 3 times a week, and we talk, and he's a great guy, and I love what he wants to do with kids. And we're working on a big idea. We really want to see how we can develop, and if we can develop, a school of performing arts at the elementary level. We have many examples of performing arts high schools in California, but nothing at the elementary level. So we're in the dream big concept, but I wanted the board to know that at some point, this may be something we want to start refining and see if we can put together a school of performing arts with elementary schools, in an elementary school. So I'm very excited about Tony. Then I asked him if he knew James Olmos, Edward Olmos. He's my favorite actor. And he says he does, so he's going to try to hook me up. So that's I like that. I want to let the board know, thank you for allowing me to be part of the community. It is important as part of my job. I'm happy to report that I'm now a member of the San Bernardino County Workforce Development Board. So I had my first board meeting, got to meet a lot of individuals throughout the county that is going to give me a pathway to see how our kids can transition from being in our school districts out into the community and the workforce. So I really appreciate that opportunity, board, that you're giving me to sit on. And then I'm proud to announce that I've just been selected as a national board member for the National Center of Educational Research Technology, which is NCERT for short. That is a invite-only organization for superintendents. It's national. There's only 200 folks invited. I've been a member of it for 4 years, and I was just asked to sit on the national board. So I'm very honored that I get the opportunity to make our district shine in another avenue, sitting on that national board. So I'm excited about that. Felicia, I want to thank you for putting together the presentation today on the Freedom Footsteps to Freedom experience. And you know, I think it was mentioned we are all history makers. And you mentioned knowledge defeats ignorance. And these opportunities are super important. So thank you, Felicia, for bringing this to the community to hear your experiences. And of course, a big thank you to Dr. Greer and Hardy Brown, who have worked so hard to put these opportunities together. And I agree, we need to keep giving the opportunity for our educators and maybe our students someday to start having these experiences. So I appreciate that very much. Today, when I was walking through Del Rosa Elementary, these are the greatest moments when you're a superintendent. Many times throughout your history, there are kids that just make an impact on you, and you circle back around, they run into your life. So when I was a superintendent of Redlands, there was a young man by the name of Kendall Green, who during the George Floyd murder, as a student who had just graduated from Redlands schools at the time, really became active in terms of social justice, equity, inclusive excellence. And he was the young man that really inspired me when I was the superintendent of Redlands to have the courage to start moving forward with equity and inclusive excellence and looking at our populations in Redlands, our Latino population and our African-American population in Redlands that often had been overlooked. And so he was a great inspiration, but he never knew that. But he just always inspired me. Well, today when I'm walking through Del Rosa, lo and behold, he's teaching in one of our classrooms at Del Rosa. So I had to stop, give him a hug, take a picture with him, and I had to tell his class what a great leader they have in front of them. Such a great young man. So I just want to honor Kendall and say, man, I'm so happy to see you working for us, and I'm so proud of you, and I'm glad that you're still doing creating positive experiences for our community. So Kendall, great job picking San Bernardino. And the last thing I want to say is just a shout out to my good friend Wallace Allen. You know, he for years has done the West Side Story. Wallace and I go way back. Chief Paulina was on a radio show and sent me a picture of he and Wallace. And I said, I know that dude. I know Wallace. Wallace was the West Side Story, but a lot of people don't know that before West Side Story, the way he got started was Grover Wimberly, who owned Groove Time Records, wanted to start his own newspaper, and it was called The Groove Line. And Wallace was the first person who started The Groove Line, then eventually did the West Side Story. Well, he's now on a radio station, something I think called Inland Empire Strikes Back. So Wallace has invited me to come speak on his show on Sunday. So, yes, ma'am. Oh, okay. And so I'm looking forward to seeing my good friend Wallace. It's been 20 years since I've last seen him. And just very excited to be reconnecting with everybody in San Bernardino. And that's all I have today. Thank you, and I'll defer to Dr. Rodriguez.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to elaborate a little bit more about the Operation Student Recovery that Mrs. Alexander mentioned. Tomorrow we will have over 65 community members and employees deploy to go and visit every student who was a no-show to the district. So we will be going out to make sure that kids either, if they don't know that school started, we will inform them and bring them to school. If there's an issue with transportation or clothes or whatever services or resources they may need, we will be able to outreach and provide. And then we'll also verify if students have moved to another locale or out of the district. So I wanted to make sure that's one of our highlights of the year as we go out into the community, and it takes all of us to be able to do that. So we always encourage community members and volunteers to assist us in going out to our community. It really makes a difference so that we can see where our kids are coming from and also shows them that we care and that we want them in school. Attendance is important. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rodriguez. Ms. Grande?
Speaking of CABE, I was just wondering if we know of any of one of our educators or scholars or teachers submitted anything to hold a workshop there this year? Do we know, Dr. Rodriguez? Do we know we have
Right
any-
now is the time for submittals. I don't know if they've already closed them, but I can certainly find out. I'll bring that information back.
All righty, thank you, Ms. Grande. And it is that time, 11.1, review of requests. Ms. Ballantyne.
Ms. Alexander and Rosales Medina asked how we pick general contractors, as some are not local. What is our policy around that? She urges that the district challenge and revisit and look what can be put into policy, that we are supporting local businesses. She also recommended some sort of seminar to inspire local businesses to apply and learn about the RFP process. Ms. Rosales Medina requested the actual language of the RFP process. Ms. Alexander requested clarification on the process on emergency supply. Ms. Chahosky and Ms. Alexander asked what is the policy since these are not local vendors. Dr. Wyatt requested a presentation on the RFP process. Mr. Tillman asked for consensus for Mr. Ariano to look into having enough teachers to cover the IEP for the adaptive PE teachers. Mr. Tillman asked for consensus to agendize for the superintendent to look into how the district can purchase gym clothes for all students. Ms. Chahosky asked for an update on making sure all students have Chromebooks and the turnaround time for the new Chromebooks. Ms. Alexander requested to revisit to agendize the Arrowhead United Way sponsorship. Ms. Alexander requested the school lottery process. And that is it.
Move to adjourn.
So moved.
All righty, well, it was moved and adjourned. And second, I just want to make sure everything was captured correctly. But we'll say meeting adjourned. So everyone have a great evening, safe drive in this wonderful weather. I will, say that. It is a beautiful day in San Bernardino, and may God bless you all.